What is up, y'all? It's your boy Yannick coming at you with another Church of MHA stream. My Hero Academia, chapter 357, live reaction. You already know we got the discussion planned. Now, I need it to be made very clear that according to Archbishop East, this is top 5 twist in this chapter. According to Archbishop East, this may have been the chapter of the year. Lamar Arrington and Cameron Bailey, how y'all doing? Mr. Andrew, you too. I see you coming through. Austin Morgan, Jalen Beckley. All right, we already had 8 people. Let's go. Tiger Blasted, let's go. 9th. Or are you like nth, like the nth metal from DC? I actually meant to ask you about that because 9th and nth were supposed to be interchangeable based on the metal run. Hey, Tanisha Greer, and your alerts working? That's what I love to hear. Let's get this stream posted in the church Discord, which, as of today, I think I will be officially reopening to the general public so that you do not have to be a member or grandfathered in to enter it anymore. How do y'all feel about that? Let's see, maybe I'll drop that link in the chat. Let's go. Ooh, we left off last week with some heavy vibes. And the reason why I say that is because last week specifically did not put Endeavor in a good spot at the end of the chapter. I know a lot of people would have seen that finale as like, oh, Endeavor got this powerful blow. He managed to land that hit on All for One. But what I saw was Endeavor make a stand comparable to All Might's last stand in Camino, where Endeavor unfortunately didn't finish the job. And let me explain something. Like the way All Might fought All for One, and they both made contact. He used impact recoil, let his right arm get blown back to the side as he baited and used his left to swing, and then would re-examine and channel all the power of One for All, or in this case, all of Endeavor's fire, into the right arm or right stump that was broken / damaged, whatever, by All for One's attack to finish the job. And that's kind of what we got here with Endeavor focusing all of his power, except the left was used to break through extra rivet stabs and keep the guard open somewhat. And then he had all his fire channel into that right arm, just like One for All was utilized. So like, you got to realize that like the being compared to All Might's last stand while not finishing the job is actually kind of a bad omen. At least in my eyes. I don't know how about y'all, but I wouldn't want somebody to be like, man, you know, your time as the host of the Church of MHA reminds me of Abe Lincoln in the theater. Wouldn't be inspiring. So, Brendan De La Cruz, we got Alves, J. Michael Holmes. Yep. All right. And we already had 30 people. Let's go. I'm going straight over to the chapter. Let's go. Now, let's go. My Hero Academia, chapter 357. All right, we pick up from there. Let's see. All for One kind of getting blown back a little. We see that the fit is officially burned off, so the suit jacket is gone. Some of the mask is actually straight up damaged. He managed to protect the mask around his mouth. So the most important part, the part that he had maintained when he was fighting All Might, even if, it wasn't the whole thing. So this is how he's going to stay back in. That was a close one. Actual danger. I knew you'd come at me hard, but I never expected that the likes of you would make me relive the pain and the misery of that day. Ooh, comparing the flames of Endeavor. Yo, what was Hori doing with this page? Yo, how page 2 going this hard? How page 2 finna be that nasty? See, this is how I ended up yelling at Horikoshi was putting his meat on the table at one time when this dude was streaming in his living room, and I apologize to the fellow still, but dog, come on. This is beautiful. And then that Endeavor close up, almost nose to nose stump. Let's see. And then Hawk's like, you're too slow. Also, the name of this chapter is Wounded Hero Burning Bright and True. Man, also that's got massive mink 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 energy in that Endeavor image. I'm gonna be honest with you. Uh, mink mink vanishing jet burn. Oh, see, okay. So anybody who has been watching these streams for a long time, anybody who has been watching these streams for a long time has heard me directly talk about all the ways I wanted Deku, if he lost his arm, to manipulate it and make that black whip arm. And I talked about that when we got that Tokoyami smash. But this right here, excuse me, sirs, madams, thems. That's tasty. What is this? What are he doing? He ain't playing. And you're right, Tunisia, he's sacrificing them feathers again. I'm hoping that these are prosthetics that he's being able to kind of control and like use as darts that aren't necessarily harming, but we'll see. We'll see. Nose to nutsack. Face. Okay. Let's see. Yikes, that's hot. Endeavor, I thought the plan was to finish him out way up high. Wasn't that the right moment for a prominence burn? No, didn't you see him go on the defensive? And that's not a move I can fire off multiple times. I got to physically rip apart his defense to be sure that the big one hits the mark. Keeping a cool head, huh? No, I can't hold back this rage. Everyone retreat. Yo, Kami Woods. Okay, this is the best portrayal Endeavor has gotten as a combatant in this entire monkey paw run of a number one, because off one hits the ground and everyone looks and they're like, and we see this madness. And it's funny because we talked about this. If those of you who have read Vigilantes have seen Endeavor carpet bomb a street just to get one person, create massive tornadoes, all kind of stuff like this. And now you get these crazy Endeavor. This is the Endeavor fighting style of Vigilante. This is the rawness and the anger and the hostility of that Vigilante style Endeavor and that personality and that mindset pre, Shoto getting on track, pre all this other stuff. This is the ferocity of the Endeavor who has not changed, combined with the finesse, the prowess, the skills, and the veteran knowledge of the Endeavor who has gone through all that, putting everything on his line. And look at that. Kami Woods, the number 7 hero, one of the highest people on the ranking people on the battlefield, is like, we got to get out of here because Endeavor is here. Endeavor is coming through. Man, we trying not to get cooked. Dog, what is Hori doing to me? Hold up. Okay. So let's see. He's dragging off one. First off, this is literally being dragged. This is borderline Super Saiyan stuff. Like, the swarming gnats cracked my mask and now my body won't move as I command, but at this range he's in command. He's within my reach. And then we get Endeavor looking like fucking Homelander with the eye beams. Endeavor's been sitting on heat vision the whole series, yo. What is this? Why is Endeavor sitting on heat vision? Why is see? So this fight is so fun and it's so exciting, but I think about what I said at the start of this stream and I still believe it. I just need to make that clear. This is making me very, very concerned because Endeavor is getting to go absolutely brazy. And this feels like too good to be true. Just way too good to be true. This has been way too cool. Those hands of yours ruin people's futures. You know a thing or two about that. Hey, it's the abusive dad off. No, you're right. My mistakes took from As Toya, leading so many stolen futures. Okay, my mistakes took form As Toya. I thought he said took from. My bad. There we go. The past never dies. Oh, rage, resentment, and even penance are wound together toward the future. Against the future is a path for the young, a path that with so many branching choices. Cut back to remedial course arc with the that's hilarious, with the fire where he's using that to warm the child after she goes on a frozen slide. That's why I must win this, so that when those kids walk that path, my past won't stand in their way. So, okay, here's a cool thing. There was a random article that popped up across my like Google feed that was like, My Hero Academia chapter 357 gives us a glimpse of our heroes in the future. And now I'm like, this is what you guys are talking about, and that's hilarious. Yeah. Like, okay, hold on. Yep. Okay, that's a good point, Jason. Like, I do agree that there's a chance that the idea of him just like using that fire, if he's been susceptible the whole time, it could have actually had like damage or risk to his eyes. What I like about this though is that it does kind of confirm that Endeavor can genuinely make fire anywhere on his body. So speaking of Homelander, you could have had a situation like the black guy from The Boys with the Ice Girl. So make of that what you will. Ray a Trooper. Now, this is who I'll keep paying my penance. I'll win today and keep my eyes on Toya. I'll keep raging against myself. And then we see this super huge prominence burn, giving that man the biggest hug of his life. The warmest hug All For One has ever received. Endeavor feet right there. And we see he's looking nice and crispy. We already confirmed that he doesn't have hyper regeneration. Even if he did, and we'll keep it a secret, without a durable body like Shigaraki's, he's still a dead man. Get away from him, Endeavor. Uh-oh. Did you really think I'd casually saunter up to the big finale empty-handed? This body has already served its purpose, and it was destined for the scrap heap anyway. So why not try this? That villains are also scariest when wounded. Heroes don't have a monopoly on big sacrificial moments, you know. Midoriya. The first, what is it? I've got a bad feeling about this. What's that? All right. All right. So, based on this, you would expect that, I know there's going to be some people who think, was Ares' quirk stolen off screen? And to that I say, pay more attention to the science of this series, you damn nerd. You suck. Now, no, you don't suck, but you do need to pay more attention to the smaller details within the series. So check this out. The bullets that are used, which is why they're on the panel, contain Ares' DNA. Therefore, they contain the memory, the muscles of her quirk within them, more or less, the quirk DNA data. Therefore, with quirks being data, as we've talked about, especially for those of you who listen to my videos on My Hero Academia 2, when I talked about Unit 731 and how specifically the bacterial experimentation processes of Dr. Shiro Ishii from Japan during World War II and the Sino-Japanese War incorporate into how we've got these explorations with Overhaul and with specifically Dr. Ujiko, you will understand that this is genetic modification, as we've talked about previously. They replicated Ares' quirk out of her bullet and tacked that onto the artificial copy of All For One when they had learned how to make artificially replicate the bullets enough to just make extra copies of it. The whole plot point behind these bullets being able to be replicated like that, it seemed, and for many people, they thought would just stop at the end of the PLW when they were destroyed. However, the whole reason Horikoshi was destroying the bullets during the Paranormal Liberation War arc is because the point of the bullets was that the power of rewind had already been replicated, and that was being artificially recreated within the artificial All For One that All For One has now. Hori told you the bullets didn't matter because the rewind matters, nigga. Man, drop them hell Horis in the chat, quit playing in my face. I better see that shit. Let me get these bishops in here. Let me get these bishops in here. This shit is immaculate. And I know there's a goofy out there that's mad because they didn't remember that detail. But that's okay. I know there's goofies out there that decided this was just poorly written and didn't even try to consider how this stuff worked. Like, man, Seth, you trying to hop on stream today? I got you, Seth. Shit, they playing with me. Man, I'm not even gonna look at what people saying on Twitter because I know somebody didn't. I know there's people out there talking and ain't got a lick of a clue what I just talked about. Man.
Did you really think I'd casually saunter up to the big finale empty-handed?
Casually saunter up to the big finale empty-handed. And you know what? That makes Horikoshi did such a good job.
You know, like
distracting because the ace in the hole that everybody's been focused on has been motherfucking twice his blood.
Aries blood.
He was like, you got all the clues and you still gonna be wrong. Ha ha, detective ass nigga. You like, come on.
Ooh. Yeah, this chapter was a big one for me. It should have me stuck for a few days, because the spoilers came out so slow for this chapter in particular. And I feel like this always happened with All For One. His leaks, there's always a little something to his leaks. So we got this leak like a day after we got some other leaks. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, what did I just step into? I saw an eyeball, I saw ears. I was like, he did it. He asked Ujiko hundreds of chapters ago, fix my body for me, doctor.
Yep.
And then he said it would take another 5 years. He saw Aries blood. He said, bet, I got you.
I'm going back 5 years.
Man. A quirk singularity baby has been found.
We got two super chats. Let me hit these up real quick. Andrew coming through. Can't believe everyone was in VC for 2 days just to talk about AFO rewinding himself to a baby to allow Deku to take care of and train baby AFO. I would love that specifically because Pineapple would shit himself over the reverse dad for one theory. Like that's 100. That's reverse dad for one ism right there. Like, no, Google, I do not want to change my name comes through. I know this is completely left field, but at the last few panels of AFO gives me the number 6 vibes, and I don't know why. Maybe it's combining what he learned from him and Aries Quirk to do something crazy. The reason why he's giving you number 6 vibes is because everything about 6 was like Hikari. Damn, I'm about to die. Gamble. Oh, sweet. I figured something else out. Like,
yeah, man, 6.
Like, and AFO here was
I'll be honest, bro. 6 was a really good villain. I think he deserved to be in the main series, or at least mentioned. Like, he was a shining point to vigilantes for me. I really like 6. I'm not gonna hold y'all.
He felt like honestly, he got hold a couple times too, bro. I wasn't really feeling like sometimes they kind of did that nigga like dirty. Like when the devil was blowing up the city and Koichi was just smoothing through, and this nigga was like,
honestly, bro, the way he went out, nothing but respect. He said, yo, I'm gonna mark my existence on you.
And was like,
you can't save me.
I was like, I'm giving you PTSD and a physical scar. Bye.
Okay. So now it's time. Now it's time. With number 1 MHA stand to speak up. Talk to these niggas. Come hey. Oh my God, bro. When I tell you these niggas was going crazy in my DMs, bro, because these niggas, the way they be getting the leaks now, whoever doing that shit, it go like picture.
Yeah, we got a new challenger on the board when it comes to leaks.
Yeah, so I don't know how they be getting like bit by bit or whatever, and like, you know, like fucking a little bit by little, just like tad bits like that, and then they get the text late or something like that. So it was like,
we get the text.
Hold up, MK the baby, you tripping? Endeavor took AFO's burns past what Dabi did to himself. Not Dabi still having a lot to learn.
Damn.
No, we gonna come back on that. So we got stuff. Oh, we got something for y'all folks. Don't worry about that.
Damn.
But the fact that like Bro, he really pulled this out. Like this shit fucking insane. Like I'm telling you, bro, like, cause niggas was coming in, it was like, yo, East, this shit crazy. Hey, bro, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. But I knew it was real when this nigga Mello texted me. It was like, yo, East, you've got to read this, the leaks, bro. This niggas was coming at me for days on end. They was like, Tarnish passed out for the leaks. Thomas texting me, he having a heart attack. Carrie losing his mind. Tyler talk about goddamn some horror manga. I'm like, yo, I got niggas fucking gassing up on Twitter. I'm like, bro, these niggas going crazy left and right, the hype. And I finally figured out what this shit was about, bro. When there was like, Horikoshi opened up a can of worms that can't be closed. I was like, what the fuck this supposed to mean? Nigga. Brother, I tried to tell y'all, don't act all different now about, I don't know about 1 year now. Yeah, nigga, I tried to tell you this shit was going to end 1 year with him skipping stuff and putting shit in the background. He
I've been saying that. I was like, he capping. Capping like shit
so
on 1 year.
It's supposed to end like 30, 40 chapters.
Bro, he wasn't even confident in what he said. He was like, yo, if anything, I'll just have him say this again next year. Like, he didn't even finalize that.
That was like a big-ass joke.
How many times have I said this? I don't know. No, it doesn't even matter. You don't have to try to even guess a number. You know, what has been one of my biggest catchphrases? This nigga said, what was going to be how long?
He said, what?
He said the sports festival was going to be 10 chapters.
Yeah, that shit was a...
Nigga said sports festival was going to be 10 chapters. You know what's crazy? This looked like 3 volumes. This looked like 3 volumes.
Looked like some pressure.
Like some pressure to me, cuz.
Like, what's up with all this extra pages, bro? Like,
what's going on? Yeah, I can't believe you done this. All for one got red eyes. We ain't that worry about that.
Like,
all for one definitely got red eyes.
Yeah, we know that.
I don't even need that dialogue today, y'all. For real.
Yeah, we're not talking about that shit at all. We got actual conversations to be held. I'm not entertaining nonsense.
I'm not gonna hold y'all. We been sleeping on my boy, and Devin was doing his thing in this chapter. He was going fucking.
Nah, hold on. Credit what credit is due. Now I was one of the main people, like, you know, this wasn't as big of a headliner fight as Dabi versus Shota, but we all know that's got something cooking on the back burner, and that Dabi got something come back. Thank goodness. But when I was like, but Anika's like, well, I don't think people kind of giving credence to where or respect or like you know, benefit of the doubt how important this could be for the narrative and overall stuff like that, or like just some of the characters and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I was like, okay, he got a point. But never did I think that we would be in this bitch going this fucking hard. Like, bro, this shit, bro. It's like one of the best fights in the series right now. Like, team up,
it is one of the best.
Top 5.
You ain't gotta say like. You ain't gotta say like, my guy.
Off rip, top 5. Off rip.
Like, off rip. Then you get into the debate, and then it's going to be the tiers and the level to this shit.
This is an S tier fight. Here, that's all that mattered to me. This S tier fight. In fact, if we sat down right now and we were like, all right, let's start looking at what are the S tier fights. I guarantee you, at least 3 of them are Endeavor fights.
Yes.
Oh God.
Endeavor versus Hood. Endeavor versus Hood is my top 3.
Endeavor versus Hood is an S tier fight. Endeavor versus Shigaraki was S tier, even if it was short. Like,
that shit was lit.
Their 1v1 was was some peak MHA.
That was a head up. If you want to talk about a real head up in My Hero, Endeavor and Shigaraki, nobody knew they needed that till it happened.
Oh God, we put up. Number one, you quite the wake up call. Them niggas was brawling. Hell,
here's the thing.
Aniki, you're absolutely correct. That's why I was always so surprised that people didn't think it would be a big fight.
Every Endeavor, like the thing with it, like everybody was just like narratively, I think people felt like it was a little off. Like, I trust, you know, at this point, if you don't trust Endeavor to give you good action, I don't know what to tell you. Because even that little sequence he had against the nail gun dude during
that was active.
Because like,
because I remember hyped going into this for sure.
Like, I broke down the choreography of Endeavor's fight in there where I was talking about, like, you need to understand that he did the pivot through, and he specifically makes himself stay like horizontal in the air to reduce his hitbox before he releases the ignited arrow. And I'm like, Horikoshi being mindful of the fact that he wouldn't just dip out, but instead having him pivot, use that extra inertia. Also, by keeping your body closer, you spin faster, so you have a higher RPM. Like, come on. So yeah, utilize.
Hey, Alves.
Not top 5, maybe top 10.
Details too. My goodness. Like if you don't pay attention, like I remember last week where people were all confused about how Endeavor's arm, what exactly was going on there. That guy punched AFO with he amputated his arm right there at the end of the chapter. That was insane. Like, no, it didn't get torn off. It was just hanging on there. But then at the very end, he just goes bam, and then it's gone. And it's just, oh my God.
No,
I think
Archie,
really,
you're right.
it's,
Archie, you're
it's
right.
really cool how much impact his attacks have, even though he doesn't have a physical hit anymore. Like normally,
it's that pure
it's kind
fire
of hard
now.
to get impact with flames.
That's pure fire. That's pure condensed fire. It's not just I'm shooting a flame at you. It's literally a fucking ball of like, that's like a brick of fire flying at you, son.
Yeah, it has actually physical force. It's not just him punching someone with his fist and then shooting fire. He's actually somehow punching them with fire, which is insane.
Essentially what's happening is that, and the trick is like in the name of the attack. It's like when you think back to how it's done in the gauntlets that he originally had, it's designed, he's basically hitting you with all the force of the thrust of a jet.
Yeah.
So he's basically
insane.
Timing his thrust forward with his physical punch to amplify it. And now it's just, he's focusing on making giant amounts of hard, like just hyper condensed thrust. Woo-wee.
Bro, now listen, bro, RT, on God, Endeavor versus Star Servant, that shit was heat, son.
Yo, that was some heat too.
That was a little scrap. That was
short,
like,
but great.
That was like,
that
yo,
was some heat
I was
too.
like, yo, oh, Endeavor.
No, that is I
America coming through.
Which is why I was always so kind of miffed that everybody was always underestimating Endeavor fight. As soon as he starts, that's kind of a thing on Twitter. As soon as Endeavor, but also sometimes in the stream, as soon as he starts a fight, everybody is kind of acting as if it's gonna be a wash or whatever, just because he's fighting somebody strong. It's gonna be a cool fight, no matter the outcome.
Hold on. Endeavor versus Kids / himself are also S tier fights.
Endeavor versus
himself,
Kids.
Endeavor versus himself is the best fight, #1 top tier S fight, SS plus fight in the whole story. Endeavor versus himself is the whole reason why I'm watching the show.
Also, Araki, take notes. This is how you use fire in series, because I don't know if anybody knows this. But the reason Araki doesn't include fire in his stands and abilities is because after like part 3, he decided it was just too hard of an ability to like ride around.
Man, what?
Yes, bro.
Bro, all the shit this nigga be pulling and you being to tell me, bro, Golden Wind, fucking sticky fingers, sex foot, bro.
Because he was like fire, it kills people so
man,
easily.
And you talking about that?
Yeah.
Please, boy, stop.
I think it's really.
Yo, honestly, I need everybody to really acknowledge page 6 and 7, where this man just charges down on him.
Nah, that
puts his fist through the barrier and he's just screaming. He's
bro.
Going crazy.
So going up to that point, that was like, yo, it's our chance to jump this nigga. He was like, that's all for one.
Only the other heroes.
Everyone would treat you. He was like, no, we're gonna jump this nigga. Kabui just grabbed everybody and said, fuck that shit. It was like, above all else.
I think that is the craziest part. Is that he was like,
coming through.
But he was like, but we can help fight. And Kamui Woods is like, nigga, no,
Kamui
you
was
cannot.
like, no, the nuke is coming in. Get out.
He's like, nah.
This nigga was on his cradle.
I'm glad we finally got Woods. Even if it was only being the smart guy, but that was still good.
No, that was great.
I did not.
Does anyone remember though?
This is the beast I needed
to come out. Does anyone remember when Star? When Star said that their coordinated laser attack would have taken Shigaraki, because it's on the same par as Endeavor's strike. That's why she said that no, this is not enough to beat AFO Shigaraki. I didn't believe her. But I do now.
Yes, because everybody always underestimates Endeavor. I say that.
It's hard not to. He's such a loser.
No. The issue is that Endeavor has just been monkey pawed his entire life. So it's like it's always hard to tell when his monkey paw is going to get worse.
And I mean that affectionately.
The funny thing with Endeavor is that he is one of the strongest characters in the show. And he has some of the coolest attacks in terms of flashiness, and really he has, as you just pointed out, some of the coolest fight in the whole show. But for whatever reason, he has so little hype that every time a fight starts with him, he needs to first prove to us that this fight is going to be good, because most of the fandom goes in thinking he's just going to get washed.
It's just because he never gets to get like a clean W, so nobody gets to walk into his fights.
Right, it's just nobody. I don't know many characters in all the shonen I've read which are as strong as Endeavor, have as great fights as Endeavor, and as flash techniques as Endeavor, and have so little hype. Like, there are characters in One Piece who have barely done anything in the whole show, and just them appearing on a panel will get more hype than Endeavor starting the biggest fight in the whole story so far.
That's a little different.
It's because Endeavor is a Vegeta that gets treated slightly better than Vegeta, but because like his reign has been like a bit more focused and there's been no Goku, we don't feel like he's like a Vegeta that we all are so aware he's a Vegeta. We don't even build up the hype that they shouldn't for Vegeta. You know what I mean?
No, I think everybody likes
but
Endeavor,
I would say that Endeavor probably deserves the hype more than Vegeta because he usually gets a little more than Vegeta gets out of the situation. So it's like the big 3 SD, except it's like a giant Vegeta scar.
I just find this so funny because every time a fight starts, I find myself I'm sitting here alone trying to argue against the world about how this fight is gonna be cool. This fight is gonna be so good, and that Endeavor will actually be able to keep up with AFO at least to some degree. And I'm just sitting there alone until he actually does it, and everybody's like, "What? I didn't expect that."
Well, because there's also like Kamino made him look like he was so far behind AFO, and so it's like while Endeavor did improve, we're like, did he improve enough or because improving up to AFO tier is so nebulous, right?
But he started climbing through the ranks, but he started flying, he started doing shit at a certain extent. And we all knew, Endeavor was going, he had a tag team. We said this is not enough just to take out all for one alone. And we were right in the first go around, because after that shit with Toya, he was not in his right headspace, and then he got taken to the ground. Hawks would have died if it wasn't for Jiro and Tokiyami stand up and them holding off until Endeavor got his rage back and then came back on his dogged shit when he lost his arm, was ready to go full force. So I
just wanted to say that too, bro. He's doing everything in this chapter with one arm. I didn't realize that till my second reread. I was like, wait, he lost his arm last chapter, right?
And this fight,
still going.
This went how I thought up until a certain extent. Now, I figured Endeavor was not going to get watched this chapter since he came back with his one arm shit. I said, all right, he going to show out him and Hawks next chapter. Hawks only did one move, which was help Endeavor speed up on all for one. And that's the only thing he needed to get
I really love that move so much because like that was a big moment in Pro Hero, and it's like so regular to us now that now it's just this small little, and it's all we needed.
Yeah.
I love the callback to Pro Hero. I was just I'm wondering now how many feathers he still has left, because I think it was that kind of thing last chapter, 2 chapters ago, that he's almost out of feathers. Now, the thing with pushing on Endeavor is it's basically you lose the feathers immediately. You can't do that very often unless these prosthetic feathers.
That he had a Sonic the Hedgehog moment.
And because we're talking about callbacks to Pro Hero, I don't know if you were in the call when I was talking about how this is that vigilante's mindset of Endeavor that like I think you didn't like as much say as, but like this is what I needed. Combat and this is what I was asking. I was asking for this.
No. I like this. The reason I didn't like Vigilantes was because he was so dismissive of some action, mostly because of the break that needed him to be cooled down. Where I thought it was ridiculous. Where he actually just had to take a pause fighting and have his sidekicks come in with essentially fire extinguishers and cooling. I thought it was a bit ridiculous.
Oh, my thing with that was just I figured, let's be real, most of the people Endeavor was fighting, because like this is why I say like Endeavor is monkey pawed, because like we constantly see him against top tiers, and any of the top tier fights have such narrative weight that he's not going to just get to beat them. That's why we objectively know Endeavor just runs around whooping ass.
Endeavor just.
I told y'all about this a minute ago, and it's just that like this saying he don't be writing like Gay be writing, because when it comes to MHA, okay, now this fight got to have a narrative weight to it that extends past this point, and for whatever character lives, and so on and so forth. You can't just look at it in the vacuum. With JJK, a lot of times you just, and it's not even like I'm a self to JJK, whatever, because the nigga can go. But in JJK, you just kill off a nigga. You could just niggas can just die. And with certain things like MHA is like, well, I have to look at this character. He most likely they know it's not gonna die because they have to meet X, Y, and Z or do this. They have to do this because it's been set up. So now you just like. Well, that's why when we came to this fight, Off One can't really die, but he can lose. But Endeavor can't really die either because there's still more to go on after this. So it's just like, how do you write out of that? But like I told you, it went how I initially thought this was going to go. Hawks Endeavor, more so Endeavor put in the work because he charged back up. I knew he wasn't going to get spanked if he just charged back up. Now, I didn't expect him to be the dog shit out of Off One like he did and then kill this nigga. But I did expect a monkey wrench for Off One, him having Ace up the sleeve, or for a monkey wrench to be like one of his allies step up from the ground because it'd be weird that Off One don't got nobody to step up and save him. What I didn't expect was, we gonna get down the line of that one. Let's give Endeavor his due shine.
There's something that I also want to highlight here.
That is the thing, yeah.
This is skill versus power, because yes, Endeavor has that raw power, but like
I AFO about that.
AFO kind of just stacks quirks together, and it's like, okay, cool, this combo works, I can do that. This combo works, I can do that. But like maintaining the flight while doing the eye beams, having the presence of the hand presence, because like this also, I like this because this is also a callback to PLW. If you remember, no touchy.
Right.
He never let
that
them
part
touch
down
him.
because I wanted to talk about it. I love how these fights, not just this fight, but a lot of Endeavor's fights, just show how skilled he is beyond just the pure power output that he has, because he has a powerful quirk, obviously. But just, I mean, and this chapter alone, it has a moment where he saw that he can't use prominence burn right now because he has like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 shots with it, and that's it. So he can't use it when there's guard up, which Hawks didn't see in time, but never did. Then there's a moment with the hand that he knows he can't let it touch him, and he has a way to stop him. He knows he has to physically break through the guard, and he does that, and he manages that. And there's so many moments of just thinking during this fight, which happened in a blink of a second. And
I wanted to talk about that exact same moment too, because that was the first time All For One used that barrier in this fight.
Wait. I want to hit up Avitadino's super chat real quick. Hey, and Ponzu's in the building. So let me hit up this super chat and we can answer this question real quick. So first time super chat questions. What's coming for Deku? AFO face reveal soon. And do you think this is confirmation that NG will get to face Toya in the future?
So let's hold off on the first two because those are full-fledged conversations and we're on Endeavor now. So I think we could do the third one with still keeping it in, and Imponsu can jump in on his.
And I'm gonna cut and paste the first two questions somewhere else so that we can make sure we come back to them.
Yeah, but we will probably for sure, because this is an important thing, especially the
put it in the chat.
Yeah, but right now this all Endeavor season because that boy did his thing. That boy did.
I had to make sure because he threw me for a loop this chapter. I knew he needed to go off like this, but I wasn't sure if he was gonna get the chance after that one. Bro, and then when he lost, but after he lost his arm and he did that flash fire fist, I was like, yeah, he's gonna go crazy.
Bro.
And then, like, but then even still, I wasn't ready. I knew he was gonna go crazy. Even still, I wasn't ready. Like the way he was wild in this chapter.
Bro, like Sosa said, when he used his laser shit, it reminded me of something, right? Like when he went down on the ground, it was going stupid. That just reminded me like Doomsday, like Kratos type beat, like Endeavor's coming through, Shur's rap type shit. But there was something about him dragging this nigga through the fucking ground with the eye lasers, and I was like, this really remind me of something. I couldn't put my name on. Then shout out to Sosa. That nigga was like, bro, he a Kryptonian. He said Endeavor a Kryptonian now. He no longer just a hero, bro. I was like, oh, that's why it reminded me of something. That nigga was shooting laser eye beams like
vision.
That shit crazy.
Yeah. Like the laser eye beam is really a skill that in most of Western comic, really only the strongest characters have it.
Yeah.
It's like a real Superman technique.
Because it's like the idea of being so powerful you could bring your enemies down with the stare.
Yeah. Though I wonder about how this works with his weakness, because we always knew that his skin is resistant, and obviously his eyes didn't pop. But I would assume that his eyes are maybe more vulnerable.
They dried out like Aizawa.
So one of the things that somebody pointed out was that he has since he was always having that mask active, that you could argue that the flames, like there's a trade-off, like since he doesn't have the mask active, he can just shoot the flame beams out.
Ah.
Let's see.
I always thought that he could use his flames from any part of his body, though, because from what I read on a wiki, he has a full fire pyrokinesis. Pyrokinesis is a full one, so he can control even fire that he doesn't emit. He can control it, if I remember well. So I'm not sure about this one. So,
no, obviously he can control fire from every part of his body, and he obviously can from his eyes. I'm just wondering about, because we know that when he concentrates heat, that some of it remains in his body and eventually leads to the overheating issue where organs are failing. And having so much heat concentrated in his eyes is like, I'm not sure if his eyes, like, they are incredibly close to his brain.
Yeah. Which I guess you could argue that for that reason, his biology would have adapted a bit to make sure his eyes are still safe. Which is kind of where I'm leaning towards, like with the constant usage of the mask and stuff like that, just constantly having fire near his eyes. I think even if he didn't mean for it to be, we can probably write that off as like a form of ocular training on accident.
Yeah, no, I've been thinking about whether maybe he didn't do that. Maybe he doesn't normally use that technique because now he has to, because he's basically lacking a hand.
Yeah.
But maybe he didn't use it before because it's more painful or more dangerous.
Yeah, for all we know, that could have been the first fire move he ever did. Another callback to his youth that he's mad about in his head. I never thought I'd have to use my eye beams again.
Well, first of all, who told this?
It makes me think about.
So one of the things that I also want to like kind of talk about here is that I like the panel we get of Endeavor just kind of flying through the woods with him.
Yeah.
Because we talked about how like this whole sequence is like a callback to so many things. This is one of the reasons why it's making me so anxious.
It kind of looks like Dark Shadow getting thrown a little bit by Moonfist because all the trees in the air to me. I feel like he's getting bodied.
But it's also like, if you remember specifically, he needs to go up there so that he can cut loose and not worry about buildings and stuff. And it's like, yeah, like you think of like the fire, but like when you see the amount of trees and just flying through the air because of how they're ripping through, it's like, no, Endeavor has always had to hold back in the city. Which, if you think about it, that also weren't we talking last week about the Superman scene where he fights Darkseid and specifically talks about how Darkseid can take it, so he doesn't have to hold back?
I was thinking about that when I saw the page of him with the fist. At first, I was like, "Yo, he's not holding back no more."
You know what's funny about that too, about him using the laser beam, is the heat vision. Is that it's so funny because it's like in the scans, off one's line sounded fucking hilarious, son. Because in the scans, he was like, this hand has ruined so many lives, and he burnt that shit. And off one was like, he was like, you ruined lives too. And
right. It was so whiny. I thought so too. It was like,
I told y'all he a bitch.
Never read those. It ruins the experience.
Bro, that shit had me crying because I was like, he made this nigga look ugly, boy.
Yeah, I have to say, I still think AFO's last attempt at getting a rise out of Endeavor is still kind of pathetic because he's just always saying the same thing and trying and thinking that would change anything, like that would make. And the first time, of course, it did affect Endeavor, but this time he's like, yeah, I know.
Well, see, at this point, he needs to stop trying to provoke Endeavor. He needs to be like, you're doing a great job. Wow, you really are a strong number one. Because at this point,
it doesn't work anymore now.
He was getting his ass beat.
One of my favorite tidbits has had me just like go really realizing that AFO not taken seriously is just before Endeavor goes prominence burn. AFO is like no stop, which is just whining and begging.
You saw that too, right? You saw that
really desperate.
I was like, yo, is he saying no when I read the scans? I was like, yo,
no, he says it in this one too.
No, he says it in the actual original translation.
Thank you.
No, stop. He's backing. He's whining.
I knew I wasn't like tweaking when I read the scans. I'm like, nah, that has to be like something he said. And I was like, he's a bitch, y'all. I ain't gonna hold
later he reveals that he has an ace up his sleeve, but this no stop to me reveals that he didn't actually intend to use that ace. Like he didn't intend to go so far. This is him actually losing and having to use his last possible resort to.
Yo, you know what? That's a good segue because I actually wanted to talk about that now because he's really tapping into a bag that's not his, and it's really crazy because I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, so
because
now
can we first talk about Endeavor's inner monologue? Because I kind of want
to. I do love that monologue too. That monologue.
Before we change to AFO, because of course we have to talk about AFO later, but I think we should touch up with.
You're talking about the My
Beginning
mistakes
monologue
took
is
form as Toya,
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie.
leading to so
Sometimes-
many stolen futures. The past
So-
never dies. Rage,
Yeah.
resentment, even penance are wound
scary.
together toward the future. And the future is a path for the young, a path with so many branching choices. That's why I must win this, so that when those kids walk that path, my past won't stand in their way.
It's such a great moment. It's one of my favorite themes one of my favorite fictional themes, kind of this idea of the adults making sure that their sins don't affect, don't stop or hinder the young. And I love it that
exactly the correct
endeavor here. So great.
No, it is exactly the correct theme, because Endeavor's entire story has been stepping onto landmine after landmine after landmine, and everyone around him just gets burned by it. So this is him he had to work his way back in this fight. Like, I know it touches on last week a bit, but this capstones that perfectly. Like, he had to go back to why he is who he is. He's afraid. He's afraid of fear and weakness. He saw what that did to his family, to himself personally, and he had to dig back to that. It's not about being the number one hero. It's not about power. It's about his own fear, and that's why it's just so good that he tied that back into his hope for this future, hope for his son, for the children. That's why it kind of flashed back to Tokoyami and Jiro for a second there, because they are the future there. So this is just so good.
Also, I think it kind of, what a lot of us have been lacking is the idea that how are these two connected, like AFO and Endeavor, how are they connected? And of course, they are both like the leaders of their respective groups in some way, and like the leading figures. So of course, a number one hero would fight AFO, the original one, but it's also they tie together in this theme of standing in the way of the young, and having their sins stand in the way of the young, which is just, I love that they bring this thematic connection in. And also for Endeavor, one thing is that his fire quirk has always been, it's sort of fueled by his anger and by his hatred, and it always was kind of directed at All Might and himself, of course, but also All Might. But now he's just fueling all his energy into hating himself, which is sad, but also it's so Endeavor, it's so fitting to his character.
It's sad, but he's looking at the right place now.
Right, it's his character. He's come so far.
That
So far.
that kind of broke my heart when I read the scans. When I
I'm
read
so
that page, I think
chapter.
my heart kind of snapped when he said,
Yeah,
"I
yeah.
keep hating myself."
Like, he
My
always
heart-
makes my heart snap. He always makes my heart break, and I'm so proud of this chapter of him. Partially also because AFO kind of compared him to All Might. Not
And he
necessarily
doesn't
in
even
strength,
know it.
not necessarily in strength, but in the fear that this person instills in him, and how surprised he is that Endeavor did that to him.
And one of the things that I will say is
He's a
that
hero now.
what I like about this is that Endeavor being a fire user specifically is excellent setup for this. One, because his quirk is Hellflame, right? So it's like All For One prances around calling himself the ultimate demon lord, and yet when a man who manipulates the flames of hell pulls up, what? Oh wait, hold on, no, stop, buddy, wait.
Stop!
What?
You also did a lot of evil things. You're letting me be. Don't do this.
Don't beat me. Don't beat me.
Like, and so it like creates like this, but also fire is a very primal danger ultimately, right? Like every species on some level, like we see big fire and we might think, oh, that's pretty, but we also think that is a source of death. And so like it's kind of like to your very primal core, you know that what Endeavor's doing right now, every facet of your human being should be like, I don't need to be here. I need to go away now. This is death. This is fire. This is heat. Run, 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 run.
Yeah, one of the parts also that
Also
the fellow heroes who aren't even near the flames really are just, it's so hot that they are getting uncomfortable because it's just dangerous. It's too close for comfort.
I wanted to mention earlier when we were talking about how underhyped this chapter was, how people didn't know what it was going to be like going into it and all that. And I was the same. Not that I was underhyped, but it's like, where does this go exactly? And that's what I am so impressed about with MHA's writing, is that the narratives that bubble to the surface make it seem absolutely perfect. Like, yeah, of course, why wouldn't Endeavor fight All For One? They literally parallel each other all the time. But you weren't thinking about that really going, well, okay, some of us weren't thinking about that going into the fight exactly. Like, it's incredible how it just is all lining up in a way that's like, no, this is really, really planned. The way it comes together and just, oh my gosh. I mean, part of it is mechanically, we have no idea how All for One would interact with Hellfire, right? So I guess that also played into it. But overall, this has just been incredible. Just the way that they have been able, Horikoshi has been able to weave these two seemingly completely unconnected characters together so well and just so narratively strong. I love it.
Yeah, that's why I'm gonna go.
Hold on, which I do want to say, like, Seth, that's a great point to the extent that I'd say, like, I think that's what makes what I would call it good writing, because we already knew, like, yeah, they can have, and like there were jokes about, like, yeah, they're gonna have a bad dad off, but it's like, no, like this was actually a 100% been a fulfilling narrative to enjoy.
Yeah,
and like, and even like, I guess you could say Jiro felt a little out of place, but to me, it was like, nah, like this is every member of Class 1A is going to step up in some kind of way, and that was her chance.
And let me speak on that too, real quick. So, also to the point where let's talk about the Vestiges thing real quick, very briefly, go over it. The notion and questioning why the Vestiges didn't step up when he fought All For One, like I said before, you lying to my fucking face, and I will not believe if you think you could take on Mike Tyson in the fight right now, or you could take on Michael Jordan in his prime in the paint right now. I promise you, you cannot take on the GOAT, you cannot take on OP, you cannot take on an absolute legend, a beast, if you're a regular person. These are regular individuals with quirks. They're not top 5 heroes that was like, ha, I won the strongest round off one, I'll fight you and beat you. It's regular niggas on the street he took these quirks from. They lived in fear. If you need a reminder, go read a couple of chapters where they talked about All For One used to be the demon lord. He used to have a level of power and command level power and fear that is unimaginable in this day and age. They literally said that verbatim in the story. He was like, nobody can match up to this nigga. You're not gonna look at All For One. You're not gonna look at All For One and be like, I could do it. I mean, I could do it. Same thing All Might could do. No, nobody looking like that. The only person who even decided to remotely challenge that nigga was Endeavor, and that's why he got Hawk's respect, because he said everybody else quit and got complacent. You was the only nigga I seen that kept striving in order to bridge that gap and reach that goal. Everyone else was complacent and knew they could not match up to his level. So comparing All Might going hard on a nigga All For One and saying, why didn't the Vestiges do this before? That don't work, because those are regular people. But now they seeing all Ayoma and all these other regular people make All For One like a goofball more and more. And what Cassie said, look at him fumble the bag, that gives you inspiration that if these random people can stand up, we can make a difference too. And they see one regular person stands up, that's a domino effect. All Might standing up is not a domino effect. They feel safe. The random people rising up, like they said, that's what giving people the spirit to
reach,
fight back.
man.
That's what it is. So you just saying like, why didn't they fight before? No, I understand not liking the execution, but saying like the logic of why didn't they fight when All Might did it? Nah, that don't work, bro.
It's not the same thing, because literally when we talk about the quirks in All For One, they see and hear what All For One says. When they know One For All is the quirk that is like the antagonist, the hero in the story, they can't say, yeah, it's like when you see the main protagonist in stories, you can't compare him to the other people, you know what I mean? But when the random guy, the fucking guy that nobody loves really comes there, fights his tooth and nail, and you get the villain saying like, damn, that nigga is scary, that nigga scares me. Even just about the Jiro type, you see a child fighting All For One, going against her fear, her fear to try to do something. It inspires you as a person to do stuff. It's like most of the time, it is our kid that starts like rebellion sometimes, because they're the ones that go for something that's not normal. Like because they don't see the repercussion of their actions, you know? So yeah, it's really cool. I'm really happy to see that all the stuff about how the soul in the soul works reacted to the situation at hand in All For One, you know, all the quirks that we came to see how he's struggling, how he's fighting these people and he's like playing it as up that he has it under control, but he doesn't have it under control. He knows it himself. And till the end, he was really scared of losing. So yeah, like, it still pays off as if like I have a second plan, man. I have a plan Z. Even he was scared to die. Like
I hate that man. He
Yeah.
do that every time. Oh, I got another plan.
Yeah,
Fuck
yeah.
you.
I can't wait till we get that nigga. We got two super chats, and one of them I want to address real quick because I can't. Cause we
Okay, yeah, hold on.
crescendo.
Mr. Andrew says, I don't like seeing Barney and East fight. Y'all got to get it together. And then Dekush, finally, everything is coming together. AFO's big plan is on the horizon. His ultimate plan, Wash, is coming into fruition. So this is something that we've done a lot of time. We spent a lot of time talking about Endeavor. We spent a lot of time on Endeavor.
Can I say one more thing about Endeavor?
I was just about to say.
It's a small thing. It's a small thing. It is small. And that is, I've noticed that this chapter, Horikoshi has changed Endeavor's design in the face he gave him the bangs back that fall into his face, which is something that we know he has had in his youth, but he never had it as present Endeavor. And I have been wondering why.
He had the bangs back last chapter too.
Yeah, but it's a change that is only now coming, and it's part of giving up that mask from last chapter where he said not put on our airs anymore. But it's also something where, like, one of the most defining features of All Might's hair are two bangs. It's just Endeavor's are down and much smaller. I kind of like the parallel. It's he's now really coming into this role as being the number one in this situation. And also he's the very last thing. He's wobble. There's this wobble thing. We know he's down. So now he's in trouble. If whatever is gonna happen now, he's in trouble. I hope he gets
He is in big trouble.
He's not gonna give up because he never gives up, but wobble is never good.
No, he's in one of the worst situations I've ever seen a nigga in right now.
We know he's not.
I'm not even gonna hold you because he really just helped the villain.
Hold on. Like, listen, y'all. One, Seiya simps hard every day. Y'all just don't notice. Second, this is part of what I wanted to transition into when I said I wanted to talk about this AFO stuff now. Yeah. Because we have a lot of doors that can be opened. And now consider this. We have not seen. So when Mirio got rewound, right? He was rewound about like 4 or 5 months, or sorry, about like 6 months, I think.
It was 6.
And he got permeation back. If All For One is actually rewinding himself all the way back to his eyes functioning and his ears functioning,
5-6 years.
It would be All Might fight before.
So we'd see his quirk layout switch.
Exactly, I was thinking that too.
So see, this is the craziest part about this. So let me go ahead. All right, Thomas, it's tag team time because we really was on this shit. So the craziest part about this is just that my fault. The craziest part about this is just that the way we go into this now, the entire game switches. Like Tanner said, the can of worms that's gotten open just extended. This and Deku shit just extended the story by 20 chapters. 20 chapters.
I don't understand what he meant by 1 year.
But
he knew that he was going to do this.
Exactly. So the funniest part, and then address Cameron Bailey. Yes, we confirmed got a new editor. The previous editor was that worked on Samurai 8 with Kishimoto. He was the shortest one we had in the length, and people are commenting that did affect certain things within the manga, and I can't agree in the text because Horikoshi did say he will fight tooth and nail for your stuff.
I agree. I agree with that. But at the same time, it's like he wasn't the shortest. So Horikoshi might have been like, nigga, you blowing mine. Got him.
I feel like they really kept butting heads and had to come to like compromise on some things, but I feel like he wasn't ready. You can feel like it was. Editors do play a big part. They
didn't have the same mindset. Honestly, that's the conclusion I've come to. They didn't have the same mindset on this shit because bro said the editor said he wanted My Hero to trend every week.
Yeah,
and a nigga like that stepping into it, the mindset he had already. You know what I'm saying? I can see that.
That's for clout and not for actual substance. How the story.
He wanted it. I think he wanted to give My Hero that big 3 vibe. I feel like, and it wasn't connecting.
And I'm also going to say that, like, saying you want a series to trend every week, okay, so step out of the manga's way and see if, because at the end of the day, don't, like, either it was the previous editor's ideas that got the series trending when it was trending, or it's the author's ideas that got it trending when it was trending.
That's
And either way, that means it wasn't you that's got that series trending when it was trending.
For a fact.
So
if it ain't broke, that's like me having a
and hold on. And you talk about you want to get this series trending, but you was the Samurai 8 editor, and what happened to that? When was that trending?
No cap.
When was that trending?
I feel like he was a clout chaser. I'm gonna just say that on stream. I don't care.
Like when was Samurai 8 trending?
I mean, it took a series that already trends fairly often, and
he was like, "Oh, we lit, bro. It's my hero, baby." He was wild.
He really got on the team and did not know what the fuck he was talking about. It's like you get a new coach on the team and just like, I want you over here, you doing this, or like a band get a new manager.
Yo,
like, all right, this is gonna be our image now. You doing this, you doing that, and it's like that's not my flow. That's not what got us here. And we've been doing this for 6 years, 7 years prior to you getting here.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it a stack. I feel like he fucked up Deku Black too. I feel like because the cliffhangers in that were ridiculous. They were good. There was good and bad ones. It was a mixed bag of cliffhangers.
Mm-hmm. To a certain extent.
I said it before. I wasn't a big fan of Deku Black. I'm still a big fan of it. The story gets better as soon as Endeavor is back in it.
I'm talking about like the cliffhangers because that explosion cliffhanger that was all him.
What?
That's not. Hori don't do shit like that.
Yeah,
that explosion or which
that mansion.
The one with the mansion bomb.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, like Hori, because like my thing about that
was a disappointing cliffhanger.
I feel like the editor was like, nah, bro, this is Deku and All for One. You gotta add some spice to it, bro. Like you can't just leave the conversation off and he just leave the mansion. You gotta throw in a little explosion. Like
I hate cliffhangers that just end.
It's gonna look really good in the anime, though. I will say.
Well,
the anime is going to cover that perfectly, I think.
When Endeavor fought like the Nomu in the anime, for example, and they did like the store and release of his flames, he was able to just kind of swat them hoes away. So I'm like, we already had like, I don't think Hori would do. So okay, there's certain. I guess when we talk about this cliffhanger and we talk about why it might be the editor, Horikoshi has a tendency to trust his audience enough that like I could kind of see why he would do like he could do that, but I would also say that because he trusts his audience enough, he wouldn't bother including a scene that has that explosion in it in the first place. Because a lot of times what ends up happening is that Hori doesn't go extra like hype routes, like an explosion at an end of a chapter, hype, because the logical conclusion is that it's not going to work out and be any real threat anyway. So he just wouldn't bother with doing that.
That's how I
my hero is hype.
Exactly.
And so it's like, I don't need that explosion.
The embodiment of hype. Like you don't need to do the stuff like that in my hero. A nigga saying that he got some new gear is enough to get me hype. I'm like, oh shit, this nigga.
But I'm also going to say that like AFO's plan was the hype. The idea that AFO knew or accounted for not getting captured and was just taking that opportunity. If like, in my opinion, you could have ended that chapter on a close-up of just the screen of All for One saying, now it's your turn.
And you could have. Yeah, you could have had Deku just raging out, yelling that nigga name, like in fucking like anger.
I would have gone with just that clip, just that footage, like specifically that, like a full double spread. Uncle Sam looking All for One. It's your turn would have been the last page of the chapter if I was that editor, and then we would have gone back to the meeting, the next chapter, and maybe somebody would have been like, "Oh, what happened since they left the hideout?" It's like obviously they left, nigga, because it was just a tape.
Like, what they gonna do? Track down our fingerprints. All right, let's retrace the steps.
He had to remind niggas that was the CRC hideout. I figured that out from that Dabi scene. I was like, that's the CRC mansion. He chilling at.
They said you don't like Deku.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
You know what? Actually, I got something I forgot to bring up last time. Me and Tayas were having a discussion. So it's actually funny that you said I empathize so much with the villains. In a sense, because it's funny because that's like pot calling the kettle black because you don't really care for the villains like that.
I empathize a lot with not necessarily the villains, but you favor Endeavor definitely. You don't have any. You don't have a lot of love for the villains. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that this sometimes it sometimes depending on which characters you empathize with, it sometimes changes how you think about what they're doing compared to how other people think about what they're doing. I'm aware that I over empathize with Endeavor in a lot of instances. which also means that sometimes my opinion about Endeavor is different. For example, but I think every Endeavor fight is going to be hype, and everybody else thinks no.
Oh, we expect it to be fun. We just expect it to be rough for Endeavor.
But that gets real.
That's where it ultimately
that gets
comes down
different.
to.
That gets different because definitely you show your bias definitely when it comes to Dabi for a fact. Your bias for Endeavor and your hatred, your disdain for Dabi definitely peak.
I don't disdain Dabi, but I do have a bias against Dabi's apologist.
You definitely be downplaying Dabi a lot of times. The same way you show love for Endeavor, because y'all be, even last time when we had the discussion about Dabi versus Endeavor after this chapter. Yeah. At first y'all kind of you and Mello clarify or gave more details, but at first y'all could definitely hold Dabi in like the matchup. Because y'all just said he was.
Yeah, but I'm also downplaying Dabi because you put him against Endeavor. If you had put Dabi against, I don't know, somebody else, I might have not downplayed him as much.
One has a repentance arc and one doesn't. So I mean,
no, we're talking strengths. In VC yesterday in spoiler VC, we were talking about Dabi versus Endeavor, and I said that Endeavor is stronger than Dabi. That's what I said.
No, but
and I stand by that.
When we came to it, that was a good thing. But like at first, y'all just said he was getting smacked up. Like I understand.
I thought, and it's still my opinion, that if you exclude the emotional part, which of course it will make this fight a lot more difficult than just them comparing their skills. And I think skill-wise, Endeavor is up and beyond. It was went beyond ahead of Toya. I just think that. Sue me.
Skill-wise, okay. So
skill-wise, I think if you include the emotional damage, sure. That's going to be a difficult fight, but if we were talking skill, I think Endeavor is
I do think that
a good bit stronger than Toya.
We know he got more skill than Toya, but
like, experience and skills is undeniable.
Yeah, that is, but like it's the way y'all framed what you meant. If you like, let's give it a rank because you were saying like way above, like swords above him. It's like I give Dabi an A+ because he didn't really show like what he could do until he's riled up, which he just did. Because people always theorize, he probably can do Endeavor's moves here and now. So it's like he really showed he can really do what he can do, and he still didn't even go full all out because he wanted to see Endeavor. All right, he wanted to see Endeavor more than anybody. He would have went to his maximum when the case.
But Endeavor would also go to his maximum. But that's
I'm saying that too. But hold on.
No, he wouldn't.
So it's like Endeavor's S+, like we were debating. Endeavor's S+ technique, but Dabi's right below in like A+ right there. But Dabi has S+ firepower.
That's All Might to Endeavor. Endeavor is S, and All Might is S+. That's a level between them.
No.
If you A and he S, then he's a level beyond. I'm sorry.
All Might's All Might's the nigga. We can't be using All Might because All Might
is S+.
I'm just talking. Yeah, he's S+++ or whatever. But the thing is, if you put Toya at A and you put Endeavor at S+ or S, then Endeavor is a level above Toya. That's just it. Yes, I'm not saying that Toya is weak or anything. I'm just saying that I don't think Toya is doing to AFO what Endeavor is currently doing to AFO.
Ooh, let's see. Okay, now I got to think about this because on one hand, I think
he has the damage output, but I don't think he would get that far because I
don't know about that.
So it would come down to one specific condition. If Dabi was willing to go as serious as he was against Shoto from jump or not. Like that's because if he goes as serious as he does against Shoto, then he blows through the hard flame fan and just kind of just wails on All For One until All For One does rewind.
You think he's going to manage to do it without All For One touching him once?
It's mostly because of the heat barrier.
Because he was basically not going to want to touch him.
Yeah, because you got to think like Dabi was basically creating like a flame aura for some of his moves. So it's kind of like he wasn't touchable for certain portions. So that's why I said it depends on like how, like if he goes.
Would he hit AFO? Would he be fast enough to hit AFO?
Yes,
I think so.
He's fast.
He's fast as shit.
I think he's fast enough.
Yeah, like I think that fight gets undermined. Like what? Don't worry, Mello. When we speak about him, we're going to get to him. I got your promise. But that's the thing about it, is like, are people forgetting that he speed blitzed everybody? He literally has like techniques in that. We only seen him truly serious in a fight this one time, and this one time was enough to impress because he was using the same moves as Endeavor, and he was using his own moves. And then it was like, people was thinking Dabi slow or Dabi got no hands. This nigga use a Hell Spider was like, yo, this
That Hell Spider is tapping
tapping
off one.
First of all,
tapping.
and first of all, before he even got started in the fight, he used a flame tornado before he was serious that left everybody else out except the sidekicks that work beside Endeavor and have some ability for fire. Keto's the only one that just can redirect the fire, but that's still hot. But he been working next to Endeavor, so he said I can handle the heat to a certain extent. And then Shoto. Everybody else was outside of there that could even stand in a tornado.
He created a barrier.
Then after that, he was melting the statue. This nigga used Hell Spider that was merely just a decoy, and they said it's not as tight knit as Endeavors, but that shit is crazier and more powerful than Endeavors. At that point, then that was just only decoy just to sneak back past all the sidekicks and knock this nigga. And then he bodied his sidekicks out the way. He was getting little flies away because he wanted to take on Shoto directly. Shoto was just the perfect counter and had backup too in that.
Yeah.
But that heat is way above Endeavor.
But how do we know that whatever Toya is doing, whatever heat he can, even 3,000 degrees, even 6,000 degrees, how do we know that this is going to be able to burst through the barrier? Because we know that Endeavor could only physically break through the barrier. He said that himself. He knows that Endeavor knows that his prominence burn is not going to break through the barrier and kill AFO. He knows that. He knows he has to physically get through. So why do we just assume that Toya doesn't have to physically get through and can just burst through because he gets hotter?
The trick here is that the heat was affecting All For One already, and even when he didn't fully break the barrier, it was already damaging his clothing and stuff like that. And if you notice that even though he had reassembled all the pieces, the flames were still, even through the barrier, were hot enough to melt away some of the extra debris. So there's a really good chance that with it being even hotter with Dabi, that he just ends up melting All For One's mask on top of his face, even if he is blocking, which becomes a whole other issue.
Dabi's getting past the mask.
Exactly, because we already agree. There's no debate that it's his firepower is stronger as the
I'm not arguing this. This is one thing I absolutely give you. And Toya's firepower, I agree, is stronger than Endeavor's. I give you that. If you think all you need to defeat AFO is strong firepower, fine, whatever. I don't think that's all you need to.
Nobody said that.
You just need same clothing, to be honest. All of their clothes are still intact in this somehow.
It's so weird, yeah. So
he should be butt naked. He should be butt
naked. It's like
right?
the people that invent fireproof clothing, just the people who invent, for example, Endeavor's costume. They should just get a fortune.
Oh God!
Because you just should just put every house into that material and then just be happy.
Magician.
Yeah, on God.
Step in the rap, what? But I've been trying to get onto the subject of AFO for a minute now.
Let's last thing I'm gonna say about this is nobody's saying you just need power. You don't need just power just to beat off one. Nobody say that. But you said how he break through the barrier, this and other. He has stronger firepower, so him getting a shot off means that's a bigger punch. That's a harder punch. Therefore, that would break it easier or what have you, because his firepower is way above Endeavor's. They said this shit is. They already said in the story multiple times, his shit is way above Endeavor's. Like, this shit is crazier than Endeavor's. So him getting that shot off is just him breaking through the barrier. Then he still has technique. But I was rebelling to you saying, oh, how is he gonna bust through the things? Like, he got more firepower, so he could get a shot off. If he got a shot off, he can bust through the thing more than likely.
Okay, and so real quick, I'm gonna read this super chat. Then we're gonna switch over.
You need to talk about AFO.
Like, AFO needs to be discussed. Now,
yes.
Vitorino coming through. Imagine AFO kills NG, then Toya kills AFO.
I'm good off that.
I'd rather.
Weird one. I'm not really certain on Toya killing
Talked
AFO.
about it too.
Yeah,
You just went powers killing without me.
Listen,
man, where was you at? Where you at?
Not Ponzu, Maddie missed the scaling.
Yo, listen, I'm gonna start it off like I'm gonna start off the all-for-one talk. Hold
on. We on All For One right now. Tarnish, go.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna start off the all-for-one talk with this. I'm gonna just put this on the table and then we discuss this. So now that Prime All-for-One is allegedly coming back, what if Shiggy box with this Prime All-for-One?
Bro,
I wanted to talk about that too.
We were discussing this.
And to make this, to add onto this is I've talked about this yesterday and it didn't really get on well, whatever. My question was, if when he comes back as Priol Might Fight, will his quirk also revert to Priol Might Fight and be original again? Like, he's now using a cheap copy, which is weaker. We know that because now his quirks are rebelling against him. his vestiges. If he goes back to pre-All Might, will he have original AFO back, the same as Shigaraki? So they have equal AFO.
And that's what I wanted to talk about with the 6-month rewind when I mentioned it earlier. The established precedent is yes.
It can give quirks it does that. And that's established. Like it gave Mirio his quirk back.
But this is what I talked about with this. This is the very different variable. One for all and all for one. The quirks themselves have spirits attached to it. They also have embers and vestiges and stuff like that. So that's where it gets a little bit more like, all right, what can we like? It can work still, yes. I'm just saying, like, you got to keep in mind spirits and vestiges and embers. How All Might gave his shit away, but it was just embers. So
I know there's like the force aspect of this is really about to come into play. We're about to get. There's a good chance that the next chapter leads into some crazy lore stuff.
Yeah, I want full pages of dialogue.
Don't we know that when you lose AFO or OFA, the vestiges don't go away. Like All Might still had these. Like All Might still had the quirk after giving the quirk away, which would assume that he still had the vestiges, even though he couldn't access them.
So this is something also that I want to talk about with that, because
sleepy, basically.
I don't think as long as All Might had the embers, Deku didn't actually fully have one for all. And the reason why I'm saying this now is because it's clear that there's the force aspect to one for all in the vestige realm. There's an interconnectivity because All for One can hear when Deku starts actually getting an awakening. Now, there's something I need to double check real quick, which is heartbeat, because we've talked about because I've explained this before. Let's see, 7 weeks. So yeah, like around the time of around Pro Hero arc is like October. Let's see, no. Pro Hero arc is what, September? I'm trying to think because it overlaps. No, that's a November arc. So it's kind of like after All Might finally says that it's Deku's turn is when we finally start getting stuff like vestiges responding. Like I pointed out to somebody on Twitter that you don't get the core of One for All throbbing and kicking until December, which is around what would be considered the second trimester of a pregnancy. And so it's like that's interesting language to use to talk about it like a baby, but from that perspective, then you have to like build up to these points. So we don't know if these two quirks being past singularity is now going to change the rules. We do know that they were able to detect and sense each other. So if he gets rewound, it might just put him back into a fully established All for One body. And if that is the case, then I think that All for One himself, instead of trying to go and allow Shiggy to be the new Shig for One, I think that definitely will create an established fight. Like, no, well, I'm just going to fight because it's the rule of two. We both have a proper copy of All for One. One is going to have to absorb the other.
Yeah, Shigaraki hates that man.
Yesterday, I think this will be if it actually happens that way. If he actually gets an original AFO copy, original version, they would have to fight and it's like we knew that his plan was to take over Shigaraki because he needed Shigaraki's hatred, but also because his own body was broken. But if he gets his own body back,
that's not a factor anymore. His body is good now. That's
if he got his body back, all he needs is for Shigaraki's hatred. And Shigaraki's hatred, he would also get if he could just absorb him, right? He would just if Shigaraki became a vestige to him instead of the other way around, then he could have used Shigaraki's hatred.
That's technically plausible if Shigaraki's personality is still infused with the All for One that was implanted into him.
That would be the
if
new
he
vestige.
Reabsorbed it, like he would technically be in there as a form of vestige and he would still have access to Shigaraki's hatred.
Yeah, it ain't gonna go down like that though.
Yeah, I don't think it's going down.
So it's not gonna go down. We were just talking about his plans.
You know what's crazy? You know what I thought about when I saw this too? When I really thought about them fighting for real, I was like, I think Horikoshi kind of thought like, it wouldn't really be satisfying if Shigaraki just killed this withered old body. Let me put him back in his prime and let them fight and then see what happens. Make him king. Make him king, really.
The craziest part was to this is that the way, though, because they're so funny because people were really hating that, like, are really upset that man, the quirk bullet plotline just got dropped, this, that, and the other. And like most of them got destroyed, but then it went with Aizawa, and that was like supposed like one of the, or he just picked up one. That was like one of the last ones or whatever. But the fact that the bullets were still around, and now the fact that this is the way it comes back into play, be one of the biggest factors in the final like stretch in this thing, and one of the biggest war so far. That's fucking insanity, bro. Like to really reach back in to the bag and still make it work like that, foolproof. Because like, again, all for one is Ujiko already got the quirk. This is Erie's quirk factor DNA. If you forgot and you need a reminder, all for one been around since the dawn of quirks. He's easily 170-something years old. He's been working with the prime benefactor quirk doctor to ever exist, which is Ujiko. Ujiko shits on Zaki.
That's his
by
best
far.
friend.
No disrespect to Zaki, but them niggas are completely.
Nah. We sitting on Chisaki today. Ujiko looked at that shit and said, "Boy, you ain't even know what you had in the lab.
Yeah, boy, like listen,
You ain't even
son,
know
like,
what you was working with."
I don't think you understand the levels and tiers and the knowledge and the experience. Y'all want to talk about experience stuff like that?
I'm telling you right now, when Shigaraki gave Ujiko the bullets, he was like, "Bet, say less." Like, it's lit. You see, bro, you see how many bullets he made? He was like, "It's lit. It's lit. We manufacturing these shits. It's like, takeover."
He's like, bro, I'm about to expand that bitch, bro. He's like, this ain't no
bro.
problem.
Imagine if he started tapping into normal with that, and he like reverted them to their real bodies, and they were still normalified in the brain. He really could have did some crazy shit with that.
No, the thing about Ujiko having the bullets, he can even use this back to get Aries quirk. Even I believe that. So
does AFO have bullets? Because they didn't just show Eri, they showed specifically the bullets.
That's the point of showing Eri and a bullet, so you can know that
it's
Eri and the bullet.
So
the bullet.
They did the same. They did the same. He did the same exact thing when Aizawa got hit in the leg. He showed Eri in the Christmas suit. Like they show Eri every time the bullet is used, just to remind.
So
like,
I'm going to assume that Endeavor is going to get hit by the bullet. Because it's
I don't think he has it on him.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't have the bullet.
It was just like that's what he used to make this possible, and then they're gonna like expand upon that next chapter, hopefully.
All right. Because I did remember that he showed that panel or a similar panel during Aizawa, and it was followed immediately after soon after by somebody getting hit with a bullet. So here it is. They are showing the bullet, and then they're giving.
Yeah, I don't.
There's a difference. There's a difference in scenarios. He was using that to take away Aizawa's quirk, which was hindering Shigaraki at that point. Right here, Shigaraki had his body intact. He was using that so he could use his quirk because he was getting nerfed by Aizawa. That's why he used the quirk bullet there. Here, him using the quirk bullet is not going to help him, and it has nothing to do with his body reverting. Like
no, obviously it would be two things. It would be two things. That's why I wondered why they added the quirk bullet specifically here, not just like to explain why he is reverting. It would be enough to just show Eri. So I was wondering if he both has Eri's quirk.
Then people would start thinking like, how did Eri do this? It would be a lot more complicated.
I'm talking about how did Eri do it. I'm asking why he showed the bullets here, because to explain why how he got back, he could just give us Eri, but he's specifically drawing a few bullets, which kind of, I mean, he could try to hint at Ujiko figuring the quirk out by the bullets. I was trying to think about why he drew the bullet at all.
Because the bullet is what he's using to get the thing. Because you see how it showed the bullet.
Yeah, that's what I just said. It could mean that Ujiko used the bullets to figure Eric's quirk out. That's what I meant.
Yeah, that's what we're talking. That's what we're talking about. Ujiko has the
most likely. We'll see, but that's what I'm going with, because that just makes the most sense. Because that's Shigaraki gave it to Ujiko.
I mean, it's always based in logic. Niggas just like with this series, I don't know what it is, but niggas go above and beyond to make things not work essentially.
Yeah, like some people were saying he kidnapped Eri. I'm like, nah, bro, you wild.
And then people will get upset like he kidnapped Eri. When did he interact with Eri? And now what Eri course is just doing? Like, how did you get that he went ahead and took Eri if the quirk bullet is right there?
No, I didn't mean that.
I'm not talking about you.
If this panel means he both has rewind and also has the bullet, or if it just means he has rewind.
I mean, I just see what you're saying. We talking about you. We talking about other people. It's like, all right, how did you just try to other people just assume that he went got Eri off screen and now he's using like, how would that even like? Because people all go above me on to reach over and make this way more.
You know what would have been crazy if he did have rewind, like the actual quirk. A better way to show that, I think, would have been like to just show Ares vestige. I think he would have did that instead if that was the case. So I don't think he actually had quirk.
No, that would be just the fact that he showed us, because right now are we all on the same page that he's getting his old body back? Yes.
It's no debate. He's rewinding. How far
he has ears and eyes.
Yeah, that's how far. That's up for something else. That's another discussion. He's
I mean, at least a few years.
Guys,
at least to
guys, you understand that he could have eyes under his face there. He just that his face was just so developed that
I understand that. Somebody did say that to me. I was like, true, but not the ears. He had no ears.
He had no ears.
He had no eyes or ears. Like that was the
eyes I could see being covered by scar tissue maybe, but like the ears, that was gone. Like,
what's the point?
I don't think the eyes would be covered by because I mean he has eye holes, doesn't he?
So, but why would you even just do that little tease like, oh, I got eyes, but that's it. I'm still at my.
Chill out. We never know because for the moment, because if we're all thinking that he's rewinding, it means how he stole the quirk of Eri, but we don't think about it because he's protected under 24 for 24 normally. No, the
idea is that they recreated the quirk via science, via Ujiko.
Through the bullets. So
through the bullets.
With what equipment did they do that? That's my fucking question, because they were in a fucking cave.
I mean, we don't know. Ujiko's genius.
Ujiko's done a lot more crazy things.
Yeah, I mean, Ujiko has recreated AFO, so there's no really a reason why you shouldn't be able to do the same.
Let me talk about this one, because I'm gonna make this one make complete sense. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm listening.
So in the case of this, Ujiko is like he the quirk master. Simple as that. There's no debate about it. Nobody knows more about quirks than that nigga. Nobody knows more about quirks than that nigga, right? There's no further debate. He's been working gene splicing, maneuvering on quirks, melding them together. He literally created Shirokuma, a fucking smoke cloud from one person's body, and melded other quirks together, this, that, and other. He can finesse, he can maneuver all this, that, and other. He's not like Zaki, he's on a different tier than that nigga entirely. So they took the quirk bullet is a myth, got Ares blood in there. Ares blood, your quirk is tied to your blood and your DNA factor. He knows enough about quirks and gene splicing and that stuff, like reversing, like Indai said, reverse engineering, gene splicing, all that. It will be in the bullet, and from there, All For One has enough knowledge to a quirk master that he can also work, because it's on my wall over here. Also because All For One, he can literally maneuver because he also said, bro, but doing this before, messing with quirks before was stupid easy, like doing no more stupid easy when I had All For One over here, mixing and matching stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure they already had the bullets. That's the
I think there's no reason not to assume that he wouldn't be able to replicate the quirk. I think what is a bigger question is how, in such a short time, AFO managed to stockpile enough to revert back to years ago.
Yes.
But at the same time,
that's a better question. That I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Hold on. Because one of the things that I'm going to say for that, which I did think about that, but I'm going to assume that because they did some tampering with it, it was probably because he also said specifically, you think I can't do a self-sacrifice play?
That was also something, yeah.
My part of my suspicions in this regard might just be that All For One is going to use this quirk indefinitely, and he's basically going to be rewinding for the rest of the time he's fighting. He might not actually have any control over it. He's just using it as a means to rewind himself until he gets the ability to fight back and uses his own quirk.
Oh.
Just like Ares' dad.
That would be if he can't stop it. Like it's just something that goes back and he has to. That would explain, because I have been wondering what he means with self-sacrifice, because it does insinuate that whatever he's doing now could potentially kill him. And if he just reverts himself back to pre-All Might, you would wonder why didn't he do that like 2 chapters ago.
And you got to remember what we talked about. He doesn't use high skill quirks. Even if you look at this fight, when Endeavor is about to drop on him, he uses like a triple sandwiching of the barrier, but he doesn't have any quirks that are actually high skill floor or require lots of fine tuning. This is kind of like how in the server we were joking.
I like the theory. I like the theory. Absolutely like it because that would
because we were joking about how people think Off One should have taken overhaul, but if you actually have to know how to reassemble some shit, then then what good is it in his hands?
Yeah, I really like the theory because I have been wondering what the sacrifice means. Because if he just reverts and it stops, it's not a sacrifice. But if he reverts and as soon as Endeavor stops injuring him, he dies. Because
I assume that the sacrifice thing was like that he had to die for this to be possible.
But that's the thing.
He doesn't want to risk that.
If we have to really look at the dialogue in the series, it's important, highly important, throughout this entire fight and motives and everything. That's what you got to do when you go in this series, right? It's everything that is in to why characters did this or didn't do this before, and shit makes sense later on, right? So if we're looking at why we look at that, so you gotta look at this. Why didn't Off One do this before? That's the thing. At the end of the fight, he said, and I quote, "Did you really think I casually saunter up to the big finale empty-handed?" It was like this body was already is headed for the scrap. It was done for its served its purpose. It was destined for the scrappy anyway. So why not try this out? You know what that means? With a question mark? Why not try this out? Should try something? He's testing the waters. This wasn't the go-to, like, I'm going to recharge my body.
This wasn't his bag.
He's obviously. That's why I asked, because it obviously has to be dangerous, or you wouldn't talk about self-sacrifice.
Also,
it wasn't something he wanted to do because otherwise he wouldn't have.
Important thing though, do you guys realize what we're probably about to get here? We're probably about to get something that I've talked about in the past a bit. So I want to see if anybody can remember what we're probably we should be able to get here finally.
The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit?
No, nigga.
That's for one. His hair color.
No, nigga.
I mean, maybe we would get his hair color.
No, digger.
You're a digger.
No, specifically.
We're good.
We're finally getting Ujiko visiting Off One in prison.
Ujiko, listen, I'm telling y'all, Ujiko
has to come into play finally.
I mean, unless he did it via injection, and he could have just done it without Ujiko.
Yo, can we really have a moment? Can we have a moment like to really talk about Ujiko? How like when this chapter came out, one of the first things I thought about was just like Ujiko's the GOAT with no context. I was just like, Ujiko is that nigga, bro. You just know he had a part. Anything that All For One does, for the most part, you just know he had a part in it. Like he was right there. I was just right here. They was in the lab.
Tartarus and Bonzo, they don't be putting respect on Ujiko name like they do. Because I remember niggas really thought that Ujiko sold out. Look, everybody. I was like, nah.
Y'all need to understand that Ujiko and All For One are Drake and Future.
Oh God! Yes. Oh God!
Our life is good.
Like when you watch Good Life and they're like,
life is good.
Like life is good. That video, that's All For One and Ujiko just going around fucking shit up.
Bro, you know my dream scenario for next chapter. My dream scenario right now is All For One gets his body back and he's like, let me go get the doctor. He just flies over there.
If you're wondering how he got the quirk in prison, you got to understand something important. Ujiko was considered the foremost expert, and for some reason, I don't think it was released. So I think they only released the second data book in English for some reason. But the first data book suggested that Ujiko was capable of visiting Tartarus and other prisons.
Makes sense. Yeah, because it's not something I'm doubting. It makes absolute sense that Ujiko would have access to some high-level prisoners, either for research or for medical reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
Of course, for medical reasons to examine them.
Like this stream, my niggas.
Yo, God King Sosa, I was just about to say that. Yo, listen, Ujiko has this. I've never seen a character get so many straight W's in a manga in my life.
Without ever appearing.
Like, straight W's. Just. He's sitting in the cell right now. He just called it W. He's sitting in the cell right now, chilling. Like I just collect dubs.
He's sitting the middle.
Bro, when you think about it, low key, Dabi's his W too, because it's like
I'm saying, like, he was just talking about that too. Like I just collect dubs. You know what I'm saying?
Ujiko, when he's actually in the manga, he's just disappointed. Like he's screaming and crying and running away from Endeavor, and then he gets captured. And that's it. But when he's not in the manga, he's like winning left and right.
So basically, so see him and Off One, two peas in a pod. When Off One not in the manga, he the GOAT. He the Demon King. He that nigga. He get in here. He'll fucking like Carnage be saying Saturday morning cartoon villain.
He got dragged through.
Don't mind if I do.
Oopsie daisy, like
Oopsie
daisy. Shut up, nigga. Like you're not saying nothing cool right now.
Oh God.
But that's also
man.
the funny thing about this is that Offwind went from oopsie daisy to no wait.
Yes, don't stop.
He was
You
good.
also did that stuff. Stop.
Let's
So-
talk about it. Like, like NGK again in his in his song this song to Eminem. Let's talk about it.
Like
Also-
and also
Yo,
one
shout out to
really
Inda.
didn't want to do this. Whatever this is, whatever repercussions it has, All for One really didn't want to use it. And
Yo.
I'm curious to find out why he didn't
Bro,
want to use it.
honestly,
The quirks.
my
It's
thing
about the
right
quirks.
now.
Yeah,
My
it's
thing
about
right
the
now
quirks.
is that this really wasn't his bag. Like he had nothing to do with the overhaul arc. He's never seen Eri. He's never tapped into none of this. He's never seen it in play. He's never even
Mhm.
seen somebody really get hit with the quirk bullet. So he really doesn't know anything about this. This is really just like he
Bro,
really just.
that's
This
what I'm
is
saying.
that,
That's what
this
that's
is that
what
kleptomancy he talked about. That like, I mean,
That's-
he basically was like, okay, Ujiko, you figured this out. Hook me up.
that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. Like these niggas need to really pay attention to the dialogue here.
You
He
gotta
said, "Let
you
me
got- you
try
gotta
this
take-
out."
You got to
Let
take character into account too. Like this is something that he knows nothing about. He's like, well, I mean, it works. It's like I just play by the
Works would be
rules.
great. If not, I'm dead.
The way I look at it is, depending on how fast he's rewinded, it don't matter. Because either way, he had to do this here. Because if you look,
I mean, he would have
if you
been dead
look after
otherwise.
that prominence burn, his legs and part of his face is straight up carbonized and falling away.
No, bro,
Yeah, he would have fallen apart.
He
No
bro,
problem. No,
y'all do
question.
realize? Hold on, hold on. It's correct. Hold on, real quick. Shout out to Endop for saying Uchiko out here created cabinets and shit. But you know the funniest thing about this shit? I'm telling you, bro. I feel so bad for that nigga Engie because it's like the third time I'm finna say this.
Yes.
Hold on. Mello said check your Discord, Tarnish, but now I'm about to go back to what I was saying. It's like the third time I'm about to get this example. If I was that nigga Engie, I promise you, I swear to God, fuck everybody. Fuck Ray,
Yeah.
fuck Shoto, fuck Toya, fuck Hawks, Tokiyami, fuck everybody in Japan. I'm walking away because I swear to fucking God, this nigga don't die. This is the worst cockroach I've ever seen since General Grievous.
Yo, him and Gina.
I feel so bad for
It
him.
make no sense.
Him
Bro,
and Gina's
all my-
him and Gina's going tit for tat right now in terms
Bro,
of being a cockroach.
all
I
my-
feel
bro,
I
all
feel
my-
so
bro,
bad for him because he
bro,
went through this
you-
fight actually thinking like
bro,
he's not gonna be able to regenerate, and then he just did.
Bro,
He's dead.
I'm so upset.
I've killed
because
him. I smoked
Bro.
his ashes, and he's like,
Bro.
"You thought?"
Bro, you don't
So-
understand. You don't understand. No, because hold on, you don't under fucking stand, bro. You was dead before I even met you. We knew you existed. Then you was just lurking in the shadow because you had your noggin knocked off. We put you in prison. You fucking
Man.
escaped prison. Then you go try to take over Shigaraki body. We know Shigaraki gonna triumph, but in their mind, she's taking over Shigaraki body. He gonna win. We know what's gonna really happen. But in their mind, now you got a second body on top of your first body. Now in the war, you wouldn't die. I burned your ass. You came back to life and stabbed me. Nigga, you won't, bro. I get your ass here. We beat your ass and we fucking burn you to a crisp. You fucking revert your ass back and you got your eyes and your ears. I swear to God, I would be the maddest nigga on this goddamn earth. And I would not fight this nigga anymore, bro. I would be like a 2-year-old throwing a temper tantrum at the fucking park when a nigga can't get no ice cream, when you can't play the game and they hoeing you, bro. I would start stomping around the floor. He just won't die. And I can't do this shit anymore, man. I swear to God, bro. I walk
I hate this nigga. I hate this nigga.
I'm taking my ball and I'm going home.
I'm walking away from the fight. I'm gonna throw my hands in the air and I'm gonna be like, you got it, bro. I'm like, you got it. Japan is yours. I ain't being no hero. I ain't being no villain. I ain't going to the boonies. Nigga, I'm finna go into the rainforest and the Amazon jungle, and y'all never gonna hear from me again. I will be one of my remote niggas from the civilization that never discovered anything.
Yo, bro.
Yeah,
What
But
if
even he was just challenged to a random friendly fight, he needs to make a checklist about: do you have regeneration? No. Good. Do you have rewind? No. Do you have any other quirk that could get you back to health? Yes. Then I'm not fighting.
Yo, bro, what if next chapter open up with him getting his body back and then Endeavor's like, but I'm still gonna try to fight, and then he eat the punch
course
and
he's
he's
still
just
gonna try to
standing there
fight.
like
Bro.
he's just standing there like
And I'm
eating
telling you, he had more elemental quirk before. When I'm sure of
He
it.
had that
but-
lightning big boomy quirk that he used against Nana. That
Yeah, he also the earth quirk. Yeah, that's an earth quirk,
I'm
man.
still waiting for Shiggy to do some shit like that. They've been holding.
Bro, he about
No. I really think that in the beginning, the more powerful quirks were more the elemental ones, and I'm sure that he will have a fire quirk.
Yo, bro, honestly, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. All for one just plugged up his PS2 and said, "Let me get my old save files back up."
Oh God, yo, what's up, Notch above? It's been a minute, cuz. Simo GR, bro. You can't yell at All Might because All Might really killed this nigga. Like, bro, I'm not gonna think about if I knock your entire face off your body and you sit on the floor leaking with everything I got in my power in my body.
Seriously, if I were All Might, I would be as pissed as Endeavor. Like, he burned his face off.
Can you imagine All Might's face after this shit? After he hear the truth, he gonna be like,
"Oh my God, All Might's gonna have a heart attack when he hears about this."
I'm really kind of pissed now that they don't have camera footage of this place. I'm assuming they're not having it because, I mean, All Might has been watching whatever's going on in UA, but I want All Might to just watch this live. Just be there like, oh shit. Well,
don't worry, he gonna get a live update.
Guys, imagine he goes back to Eddie Oscar to pull a you know the theory of I forgot his name, man. I forgot his name.
Yo, All for one say, yo, I was playing on my weak character. I'm about to go get my strong character now. Fuck y'all up.
Bro, I can see him do something. I can see him do something All for one. Just because he feels like good, he can go back to All Might and give him his prime back. Let's start this again.
This whole story just got expanded this chapter. That's what's really hitting me at the moment.
This opens up for lore.
We're about to see Prime All for one. Bro, if we said this 3 weeks ago, that would have been a joke. And now we're getting Prime All for one back.
Also, I wanted to point something out, and that is that I remember when Ari first appeared, everybody was like, she's going to be a plot device in the sense that now everything the villains do won't have consequences because Ari can just rewind it. There's no real danger anymore. She can just undo everything. But we actually use Ari the wrong way around now. Like, Ari is now a plot device for the villains in a way.
Yes.
No, honestly, after this, give the heroes a rerun. Do it. Do it.
Bro,
do it. Yo, you got it now. You got it now. Do it.
No, because it's a problem. It's a problem because at this point, what the fuck are they supposed to say, bro? They could, all of them tag team couldn't even really take on All for One. It was really NG holding it down. Hawks had a little boost here and there, like Tokiyami really busted man.
Hawks was doing his thing, but
yeah. It was
Endeavor was the real one putting in that work.
He was putting in that work, but it's like, bro, down Tokiyami really, and he got a jacket, but he can just fly around. He got hands, but you can't just compete off him with his hands.
He's not touched, bro. Nah, get him out of here now. Get all of them out of here.
Then Jiro got one ear. Her stuff wasn't really it wasn't bodying off.
I mean, let's not talk. Jiro wouldn't have done anything against AFO even with 2 ears.
All for one with his mask flew through her attack and said, "This is underwhelming." I ain't gonna cap.
I like how we keep repeating that Jiro is weak, and like even strong Jiro wouldn't be able to.
That's my point all the more. If you can't beat a nigga at max strength, how you gonna beat a nigga at half strength?
No, you can't. I'm hoping that Kamui has a good quirk to get everybody together and just run.
Okay, you said run. Because I thought you were about to gas.
No. I mean, he did that this chapter. He just whooped everybody else and was like, "I'm out of here." I think he should just do that now. I think they should just call it quits. I know Endeavor is not going to like it, and Endeavor is going to fight. But I just want Kamui to wrap him up in some wood and take him away, even if he doesn't want to, because they have to just cut their losses at this point. They can't.
They can't afford that again. They can't. They did that in the war. The last one. They can't do that again.
We might actually see Ares show up somehow at this point, since the villains pulled out Ares' quirk. What if the heroes pull it out? Like this is
Bro,
probably the only instance
listen.
where that would be acceptable. I think.
Hey,
Yeah,
That's
let's
suicide.
reverse
That's
All Might
sui-
back
like-
into that time.
That's
Li-
suicide.
Listen. Honestly, get them niggas a bone. Cause the problem all for one coming back, and Shigaraki
That's
finna
what
bust through his
that's what I'm
barriers.
saying. Do
And
it.
I'm
Do
telling
it.
you-
Rewind.
Hands in the
wait.
air, get these niggas a bone, bro. I'm sorry.
No.
do it.
I'm telling you, the 0-for-1 versus Shigaraki is gonna happen. If they both in their
Yeah.
prime, it's
If
gonna
they
happen.
see each other face to face and Shigaraki is in control
It's gonna
of
be
that body,
the Sith Lord work.
he
Yeah,
is
because
going
if
to
we-
swing on all for one. He's
If
gonna
we
swing on
assume
him.
that when if we assume that when All Might had some of his vestiges still, Deku didn't have all of them. Maybe that would mean that now they're splitting, so they're only both half vestiges, which means they have to fight because they're weakening each other just by being there. Then he wouldn't be completely back to high prime level, but he would be like half prime. At least the vestiges, like his body would be completely healthy again, but the vestiges wouldn't be. Because he has to share these vestiges with Shigaraki. If that is a thing,
I
that
don't
they
think
can
they're
only be
sharing it though.
Yeah,
I feel like we have to.
Let's
I need
see
next
if.
chapter. I need next chapter. Honestly,
Yeah, we need
'cause
next
this-
chapter. We need
Because
next
this is crazy. Like rewinding his body back to this point, you're changing a lot of things. Like not just about him,
No.
like
Bro,
his quirk factor.
this
the
is what I
messages, like
this is
this
what
is
I
a
say.
whole different bag.
This is what I say on that one, bro. Dead ass. If these two niggas see each other, all this forgetting about how Shigaraki been treating.
I swear to God, listen.
Even the
if
drip,
they-
even this little barefoot drip shit he got going, all is forgiven if these two niggas pull up on each other. Because I swear to God,
Give me a three chapter fight and Shigaraki is on the upside. I'm good.
nah,
Everything was
Hold on. There's something that I
everything
want
was
to point
worth
out
it.
too, though. Like real quick, what do you think Deku is spotting out here?
Okay, so
Let's
I
let's
wanted
talk
to
about
wait.
this. Yes.
I wanted to wait on that because that's the finale of the chapter, and that
Yeah.
ends us
So
out.
That's
the
the
way
next
I look
thing.
at it is it can end up intersecting with All for One because I thought like I did see somebody be like Deku's gonna get help, and I was like, nope, I don't know what you're talking about. And now
have
like
four
my
people,
brain
I
like
know.
processed what I actually said, and it was they said they thought it was stars people.
So, funny thing about that, shout out to DSN. And actually, he pointed out that when you see the UA barrier for the first time from the sky, or is the second time, I think when you see it in full motion, you can actually see the jets on the outside. They're small, but he's pointing them out that those are most likely the American jets still there. And I'm pretty sure those niggas wouldn't leave after everything. I'm pretty sure they would be out there.
Because okay, so that's another thing is that Stars Bros are objectively war criminals, so they have no reason to return home.
I'm pretty sure they. And I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
they would. I'm pretty sure they would want to stay there and finish the fight in memory.
Take refugee.
No, like they're okay because like this is one a military cell. Two, they lost their boss. First off, if you lose your boss, you don't want to usually like the way these cell. If your cell is supposed to be built up, especially like with these kinds of narratives, you're gonna want to stick that out. You're gonna like knuckle down together. But especially if y'all have the opportunity. Like, because they had that focus fire of lasers on Shiggy, so they almost finished the job.
Yes.
So, and just like you saw what Gran Torino said, that nigga was like, "Yeah, my bad. I should have just killed that nigga." Like Gran Torino was laying there with a hole in his stomach, like, "Damn, I should have murked that nigga."
Gran
Just
Torino
kicked him
is
in the back of the neck.
So gangster to me, bro. Like,
As if he could have, as if kicking Shigaraki in the back of the neck.
Obviously, like whether or not he could have is a whole other topic. It's
But he
just
said him that
knowing,
mentality
like-
is
Yeah,
that
listen.
mentality alone speaks of.
I mean,
him talking like that was really funny too because he got the worst ass beating from Shigaraki out of everybody. I think Shigaraki
He
made
got
that really.
donated. He got
Shigaraki made that
donated.
really personal for no reason. I
Nah,
feel
and-
like I don't know. It's like he knew that he was with like I don't know.
No, it's because Gran Torino been bumping heads with that nigga since Camino. He
Nah,
bopped his
it's
ass
because he
and
said
fucked him.
Shimura. He said Shimura's name too. He was like Shimura. Nigga, you trying to remind me of my family? I'm about to smoke you.
and Endeavor has been hell curtaining the shit out of Shigaraki, and he thinks a kick to the neck.
No.
It's because
A well-placed
all
kick
no,
on the head, and because the speed that he can have if he wants, we can kill people. That's the thing about it. For sure, it depends what type of body.
Yeah, but not
that you have.
Shigaraki, not
Nah,
the guy who
this-
survived Hellcurse.
Shigaraki in the
This is-
beginning of the story, yes, he could have killed him. If he-
Right.
bro, this is what y'all not realizing here at this point. How many times has Gran Torino stepped in and interrupted Shigaraki? He did that shit at Camino. He did that shit here because remember, Captain Kurogiri, remember, Shigaraki pulled up on Deku and Bakugo and they felt like they were finna die. Yes. Then Torino pops up, snatches these niggas away. Once again, snatches this nigga Deku or saves them niggas again. Then he bops this nigga in the head. Talk about some tomorrow. Like, he keep getting in this nigga way. And at one point, it was like 4 times in one day. I'm finna start getting pissed off too. Like, if a gnat keep flying in your face and in your eye or fly, it's gonna be like, all right, move, nigga. All right. Man, you don't get the fuck out of my face. Like, you gonna reach a certain point where you start to get really irritated.
I'm gonna just point out that, like, it's on that flip side too, is why Gran Torino gets to feel like, damn, I should have killed that nigga. Because, like, on some level, it's like I managed to successfully thwart him 4 times. Even if he did whoop my ass that 5th time, I stopped him 4 times.
And then he said some disrespectful.
I was on his ass.
He said some disrespectful ass too. He said some disrespectful ass shit too.
You should never even have existed.
Yo, you caused everybody so much trouble.
They got real personal for 2 characters that never really interacted like that. That little moment between them was really like 10 out of 10.
I mean,
even to this day, niggas want to say it didn't age well. It still hit for me. That was real personal.
Gran Torino's hatred of Shigaraki, like, what I like about it is that he made this conscious decision the second he learned who Shigaraki was, and it shows the true difference between, like, even with who All Might is and the difference in their eras, the way they grew up, the reality of, like, All Might having such an OP quirk and how it impacts his perspective versus how Gran Torino's much more limited quirk impacted his, because they were sitting there in that police office. Dog was like, yo, you don't need to be going in against Shigaraki or even looking at that nigga, because you're not going to be able to look at him as a villain. You're going to look at him as Nana's grandson. Basically telling us right there, the second he found out what it was, Gran Torino was like, hard in my heart, I got to do this. I cannot let that get in the way. This is something that Endeavor has not been able to do. This is something that almost no other character in the series has displayed the level of emotional control that Gran Torino actually has.
He's an OG, my nigga.
We need to have a conversation about him and Nana.
He's a really good character, my nigga.
Yeah, for sure. No. Listen to what said Shola Ajumbi. Gran Torino was like Red Rush in Invincible episode 1.
Bro, you about fucked up for that shit.
Wow.
Oh man, I was laughing.
Speaking of heroes killing though, listen, the way Endeavor said he's dead gave me chills. I ain't gonna cap. Like, he fully thought he killed that man.
Yeah.
Let's discuss this. So Horikoshi been playing Elden Ring. It's all confirmed now, right? If you don't get the joke, when you playing Dark Souls game, like you fight Elden Ring, you beat a boss, the boss dies, and it comes back to life in phase 2. Phase 2 will be some more bullshit than the first one. And you don't know about Elden Ring, that game be a bunch of bullshit with all types of shit. So he beat phase 1 and killed off 1. Like, I tell you, Enji lost that fucking, he won that fucking fight. Then phase 2 happens where you like, bro, I just used all my fucking health potions. I used all my stamina. I used all my energy. I got no more revives. And you like, the best part about this plan, no one can stop me.
The most frustrating thing for me is really that Endeavor just before thought he doesn't have regeneration. He just thought that, and then like it was like, I know there is not gonna be a level 2 to this, and then there was like, bam, there's level 2.
Also, I gotta put out a certain irony. I want to put out a certain irony because the fandom, as critical as people have been of MHA, nobody has talked about how Horikoshi purposely dangled it right in front of it. She was like, hey, All For One doesn't have regeneration. All For One doesn't have regeneration, and nobody thought that's got to come into play.
That's not gonna happen, y'all. He's not gonna regenerate.
Nobody thought like, oh, what he's telling us is All For One has to have planned for this. Because when we talk about how them getting a pull up on him and putting him in the portal and all that other stuff was going way too smooth, and nobody is talking about, like, as critical as I've seen people be, I have not seen those people also be like, but also what bring up they've been talking about this lack of regeneration while the heroes have been banking on it so
we've been
much.
Honestly, I
stupid.
haven't really
We've been
paid too much
so
attention to that.
stupid that we didn't see this coming. Now,
Bro,
But I did. I
Because
will
let's be-
say I
Guys.
did notice that All For One was being really calm. Like he seemed very calm to me.
Guys,
throughout
can I
this
add?
fight.
Can I add
that's
something
because
too?
he didn't take the
Guys.
fight seriously. He
Let
did
me-
say that he was actual
Ponzu,
danger.
Ponzu,
He
Can
didn't
I add
see that
something
coming.
too?
of
That
course.
pen of All Might. We can see All Might smiling. So All Might was beating Aefo's ass with a smile on his face.
You know it.
Of course he was.
Damn, bro.
What else?
It's gonna be Christmas time for that nigga off more. That shit gonna be crazy.
The
Yeah.
thing is, I want to talk about how I think that AFO was so calm because he didn't take Endeavor seriously.
No,
Because
no.
when he said
you know what?
when
I
he said
think
he did,
actual
honestly.
danger, let me when he said actual danger, this is like it. I mean, he said actual danger. I didn't think you would push. You would. I would feel this way against you. You would be the one to make me feel. It seems like he didn't take Endeavor seriously. He did know that he had that in his back end, but it really seems like he was adamant that he didn't want to use this. This is his last resort to use. But also, the other thing I want to say is that I think we were so stupid not to expect this. We were so stupid because, of course, in the finale of the story, we would get AFO back at his full strength. I mean, the whole problem was that All Might is gone, and we now need to make up for All Might missing. But it's like half as difficult if the one All Might was so much struggling to keep up with and struggling to defeat is gone. And of course now
somebody mute
AFO
yourself.
has to
Somebody
come
mute
back.
Not you say it. Somebody, whoever got their mic on, mute themselves.
I'm gonna just real quick.
So of course, All For One has to come back at as close to or somewhat full strength because it's something we for whatever weird reason never thought about. But
I thought we were gonna get a flashback. I didn't think it was gonna be.
Yeah,
like
but
this.
if you have a shonen story where a person that is still alive is seen to be super strong or seen to have been super strong, why wouldn't we assume that in some way, shape, or form, they would get back to their old strength? Why wouldn't we assume that?
I think
I think say something. Hold on, I want to build off what Sayas is saying here because right now, Sayas is saying something, and I just want to address the fact that AFO, whether we think of him this way or not, is a Sasuke Aizen and Orochimaru type character.
Why would we assume
so why
that
on earth would we not? Because like even Orochimaru,
it's like all this mother teasing and then Madara never appears.
After this chapter, it's not up for debate. Horikoshi is trying his hand at an Aizen type villain. Like after All For One tapped into something that he had no part in, and it makes perfect sense right now. He's tapping into that.
And then after, so let me go off what Saya said. You did expand upon that. 100%. You are right that we foolish for not seeing this coming the entire time because it's like I knew. See, this is the thing though. I knew he would have something that would be an ace, but I thought either it would be some quirk he was just waiting to use, or he'd be like, "All right, I got y'all here," or somebody was gonna come save his ass. Right? That's the only thing I'm thinking. I was never thinking that, and it was so. But combined in hindsight with they keep alluding, this nigga don't got regeneration. Yeah. He don't got regeneration. And that was kept banking on that. Hit his mask. He can't do anything without his mask.
That was a crutch of the fight.
I think we were so focused on this idea of AFO versus Shigaraki, AFO trying to take over Shigaraki on this process. We were so focused on Shigaraki as the final villain, which still is, that we didn't really consider that AFO might still be the at his strongest when we have to defeat him.
Also, one of the things that I'm going to say is that was an excellent distraction was Jiro. Jiro Tokoyami being here created such a mental like change of pace where it's like, oh, well, damn, the students are rising up. Maybe they're also on the line. Could these be the first students we lose? There were so many things that like, just because to a certain degree, Horikoshi created a mental space while reading the story where you could feel like there's enough danger going on here that there's no reason for him to have an extra trick outside of regeneration.
Yeah, it's hard enough.
He almost didn't need that. Yeah. Right. It was like this battle is hard enough. Yeah. This battle was so hard. We were like, yeah, like they might not make it. Like even last chapter, even before we got this Endeavor beatdown and him actually going crazy, it was like, okay, yeah, Endeavor, you got that really cool moment, but I'm worried for you. I opened this stream up, Endeavor. That was cool. but also the way it was cool is a giant red flag for you.
The wobble wobble.
So and now
Oh,
exactly
the alarm
now
bells
we
are going
wobbling.
off right now. It's incredible. Like the way this chapter ended is so much more stressful than how it started.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So we I think we agree that Yoichi somehow feels, because their quirks are connected, what's going on with AFO.
I wanted
And then
to
what
bring that up
Yoichi is
earlier.
saying is probably not connected to whatever Deku is seeing now. It's not
Yeah.
like these two are not connected.
So it's
Yeah, I
time-
wanted to bring
it's
that up
time to move on to
earlier.
that now, huh?
I was like, yo, low key, like, cause you know how off one when he was in prison, he randomly said like, yo, I hear my brother, and now he's coming. He's coming back, and Yoichi's like, I feel my brother, like he's coming back.
So we done with off one, because once we move on to this territory, then
This is a perfect
Perfect.
segue. Perfect.
Oh,
Yeah, it is. Can I just say before, like, so the thing with mask characters is that the mask always kind of, comes off, and it comes off when we're about to learn exactly, or not necessarily about, but like either before or after we're about to learn, what they're actually like, their deeper parts, right? Like that's what the masks are. The masks are physically there to, hide who this character is, kind of. And what I just really liked about this is that, yeah, we got rid of AFO's mask, and now we actually, it's like we got through to his face, but it's in such a raw way. Like we're getting it in the grossest, most hideous final boss kind of transformation sequence. And I just wanted to say that this is really cool, and I'm really excited for whatever.
Seth, I'm going to build on your point a little here now, because you're right, and that's kind of another reason, like how I mentioned, the constant mention of no regen should have made us go, fuck, he's got something other than regen that's just as bad. The constant emphasis on the mask and like how we haven't seen off one's face yet should have made us also think,
yes,
are we going to see his face this fight?
Yo,
whether it's in flashback or something like that, like we should have been thinking about that.
So that's my thing right there, right? So first of all, Sosa said off one plugged in the game shark. So
he definitely did.
So in that regard, I don't know how Horikoshi wants to move with this, because this is one of the biggest things in the series that's never been fully addressed. But you notice, like, why his face has never once truly been revealed, but it's been so close and so much of it, but it's just never been a full-on face reveal.
We're stupid. We're just being stupid.
And the thing about this is, do we still get I'm not sure what's going to happen here with his the face, because it's like, do we get does he go the horror manga route, and like his face has like some like demon type shit going on with it, and then he still don't get the face reveal? Yeah, do we get the face reveal?
You know what's crazy? What if he's really rewinding his body like to pre All Might fight? I say next chapter, give us a flashback. Yes. Show us that fight right now, and show us that where he's at right now in our current situation.
Also, the topic of face reveal, even if he hadn't healed, let's take the eye and the ear off. This charred AFO looks so scary. This charred white smile AFO, so scary.
And that's why I love that Seth called this face reveal a boss sequence, because it's like you see this and it's like, son of a bitch, where's my, like, you don't see this and feel any kind of happiness, and that's why it's like, oh, this was endeavored, like this now I'm like, this feels almost like Endeavor's last good performance.
Yes,
like anything that
he's a lancer.
We open it that up.
It's written as a lancer, that's why.
Because
like the entire fight now,
mostly because like we've been worried about this whole fight. Yes. And like he got to do his performance, he got to be badass. He technically got
he
to
defeated him, and then
he technically did kill All for One.
Yes.
And now it's the part of the story where All for One's plot kicks in. Like,
yeah, but I just studied some running videos just to run my story, and when you think about it, Endeavor was written as a main character in his own story most of the time. He got his W's, he got his losses too, but right now he's back to his place as a foil for other characters like All Might and Deku even, you know what I mean? So,
because at the end of the day, what did All for One say everybody here was going to be?
He's going to be the Demon Lord at the end.
And
These are the
The
jobbers.
people who would die so that the hero, what is I don't really remember.
So that the villain could showcase what he was made of. They were known as jobbers, he said.
Jobbers.
Also, AFO has such a good English dub voice, and I don't care who tries to argue against
The English and his Japanese VA is legendary.
both. Like AFO just has good voice VA,
And his OST, sheesh.
Oh,
and that's the
voices
thing.
that
So
Nah,
okay,
his
this is
OST
something I want
can't
to talk
be
about real
beat.
quick
I'm sorry.
too, which is that one of the things that we were randomly talking about, like scan sites and stuff for, and I was like, no, but the formatting matters because a lot of like pirate sites also now do this thing where they just drop all the pages in a straight line, and I'm like, that removes the sensation of page turn. Getting the ability to turn or like turning these pages, because it's something that a manga is supposed to factor in. Like, so the way page 2 is set up, so like if you're reading it in a volume, you're gonna turn the page and boom, the first thing you're gonna see is this like Endeavor thing.
Yes.
Like the way that like and that's why if you notice, like both of them are on the first page of the ending sequence instead of the second one. It's specifically so you turn the page and go, oh. And I just wanted to like the way Hori using the full medium of manga, man. Like when you guys say you want a horror manga, you got it's like these details that are like gonna make it where if he decides to do one that is really gonna blow your mind and give you nightmares.
Nah, y'all niggas want to be ready. But speaking of which, I suggest Jiro run because I know that nigga a petty ass nigga.
Yeah, Jiro run, Tokuyami run, all of them run.
And me personally, if I was that nigga, I'd be like, oh, you was talking all that shit. Okay, you talking real shit. I'm gonna start with you because he was already starting with her as the weakest link anyway. He was like, let me see you. I'm gonna go for this motherfucker. The misdirection lately been kind of wild too, because it's like because especially in this fight with All For One, because at one point he was like, I'm gonna go for you, weakest link, and then they had Hawks on the screen. But next thing you know, was this nigga was aiming at Jiro. It was like, damn, what the fuck, nigga? Like, you bugging. And then the shit with Endeavor, it looked like Hawks got stabbed, but it was really Endeavor. Like, it's really fitting in this fight that is so much so like, I don't know. It's just like the mind games and it's just so All For One. It feels like it's the All For One like misdirection. I'm tricking you by doing you like.
So
okay. One of the things that I said a while back is that Horikoshi is like a really good sleight of hand writer, where he creates all these good plots to keep you focused on something, and you'll have all these beats, and then it'll be like boom, surprise, surprise, and it doesn't alter any of that info necessarily in a way. But it just makes it where all that stuff was important, but it feels like a distraction compared to what you just experienced.
Yes.
Because, bro, honestly, that little ragtag team, I fuck with the team, okay? I fuck with Team NG. But that was barely cutting it before. Now, after everybody exhausted all they...
Wounded?
Exhausted everything they got?
It's also, like I'm... Let me say like this. I've been, and I still am, adamant that he's going to survive. Mostly because I'm stubborn. I just don't want him to die.
Just like him.
But
that's so sad.
I also think that at this point, the best Endeavor can probably do is try to keep AFO busy for the others to escape. And it might tie it back to his inner monologue, because he did think about how he can make up for, not how he can make up for the past never dies, but how his job is to level the path for the make the path easier for the next generation, and why he thought that we were panning to Jiro and Tokoyami. So this might be him trying to protect the next generation by making sure they don't die here.
By doing his last stand.
I
don't
think Jiro and Tokoyami will die here, and I think it might. I think they might have to get away somehow.
They have to bring information.
It's something I think Endeavor can still manage to do. Like, he can't defeat him. If All For, I mean, we don't know for certain now, but if All For One does get back to near full power, Endeavor has no chance to win against him.
Honestly,
but he might still be strong enough to ensure that AFO doesn't kill the kids.
Yeah, but that would just be stalling for time and not for long, because let's say
they would have to run.
Let's say he don't even reach his prime. He don't gotta reach his prime. Everybody else just gassed themselves out. He just hit a sensu beat. The nigga just revamped. He got to revamp.
No, of course. I'm thinking stalling for time until Tokoyami can fly, so he should be able to get away pretty fast. Same with Hawks.
Hawks is not leaving.
Hawks is gonna die. I'm not sure if Hawks gonna flee.
Robbie stages to.
But I do think that they together they will maybe have enough skill to keep AFO busy long enough for Tokuyami, Jiro, and maybe some others of the heroes there to run away.
So we also got to remember She-Mage is here. So one of the Class B kids is here.
True.
On the ground. So we do know for sure that there's a couple students here. Whether these are the only two 1A students or not, that we don't know, because we know there's spots all over the country that people are fighting at, of course. But the idea that if Jiro and Tokuyami are going to be forced to run away, more than likely I also expect some kind of like radio wave to knock them out for a while, or like knock out any potential communication. And they're going to have to basically be on the same journey as Deku, where they're going to be trying to fly to where UA should be and hopefully figure out or spot it in the sky while injured. Because I do like the idea that you mentioned, Ponzu, of somebody needing to be like, no, All for One is here. And depending on what happens,
yes,
this battlefield could have a very low survivor count.
Very low.
Yes,
like everything.
Like they did prepare for fighting AFO, but they did not prepare for fighting this version of him. So now
the whole game has changed.
The thing is, if they are at a situation where they know they can't possibly win this fight, even with all of Endeavor's stubbornness, he realizes he can't possibly win this fight, and he is able to make these recognitions. Like he did know with All Might, for example, he did always know that he can't win against him. So he should be able to make, even with his stubbornness, to make this deduction.
He should feel that pressure immediately.
An awakening.
I would remember though that EFO did say this is a self-sacrificing move, so I'm wondering if maybe he just lets rip the rewind uncheck in some kind of area of effect fashion. I think maybe he might be doing something like that. So this actually might be the end of the fight. We might still get to see obviously his actual face reveal, but it might be fleeting. This really might be his
it might also be like an explosion type.
Now you see,
he flies away immediately. I just want him to fly away off rip. Like if he doesn't kill anybody, like maybe he shoots like a little cannon to get Endeavor away from him or whatever, and then he leaves to go do whatever.
Because he's petty enough to do that. Because he's like,
he's stupid. He's definitely that type of villain to let people live and come back and get stronger. We know that about him. So,
I kind of want to agree with Seth though. Just that we have talked a lot about this possibility that this is AFO going back to his superpower, to his original strength, and then you would go on fighting Shigaraki. There is a possibility that this is a one-time thing. He does it. It has a massive effect on the surrounding area. A lot of people die, but then AFO dies too, because this self-sacrificing is something we have to take into account what exactly that means, and just everything to go.
Now you see.
I mean, they also had the thing where they were like, villains are scariest when wounded. So either way, whatever happens is about to be scary.
So I want to speak real quick. So, and that I was saying that each time you get an OP quirk in a series, it always has a nerf balance to it, right? So even no matter how OP it seems at first, it always had nerf balance. Now originally I was thinking like, all right, even if you do get prime on back, it's probably gonna be a catch or a run out or something gonna happen. At first, we were talking about Deku running into Prime All Might. I mean, Prime All for One at first. But with the switch of when Tarnish is like, yo, what if all Prime All for One and Shiggy box out? Now, at that point, I don't need a catch-22 on the court and something that nerfs it. At that point, I'm perfectly fine. You could just ride it out because it would definitely be fitting for Shigaraki to go ahead, take the vestige out, take that Prime All for One out, show his dominance, and kill the people on his back. Kill some certain characters on his battlefield. That'll give Shigaraki all the respect he definitely needs, and make his fitting too, because he's gonna get his just dues.
Yep.
Bro, that's the only way for Shigaraki to get guaranteed respect at this point. If Prime All for One pulls up on him and they fight and he wins, there's no up for debate. And then he overpowers the vestige, so he overpowers his mind and his power.
Yeah, so not only this, you have to.
So wait. There's something though.
It will be the right position.
There's something that I do also want to address though before we even talk about getting to that point, and it's actually this is a perfect way to put this Trippy manga, as in Trippy manga just pointed out, Endeavor and AFO lost their mask. We just got the chapter after Endeavor lost his mask is this chapter.
Yes.
And how did we feel about Endeavor's performance this chapter?
Pretty good.
So Endeavor also just lost his mask.
Literally.
And he's rewinding.
I don't know why.
So what do we expect in next chapter?
Man.
Pretty good.
I'm seeing the next chapter. I'll tell you what I'm seeing next chapter. I'm seeing All for One with the Millie Rock. in New York, in Millie Rock.
Bro, honestly, bro, y'all know how
Something like this,
y'all know how all these chapters have been 15 pages. Give me a 19-page chapter next week. Have big explanation for everything, and then have him just flexing. I'm good.
I mean, but you know, we gonna have to
Cliffhanger
split
time.
We got to split.
And then give us a break.
POVs.
And then give us a break, right?
Oh yeah.
after.
By the way, y'all think y'all need next chapter now, or y'all so happy it's not a break? Oh, I promise you, next week there'll be a break because Gege going on break the upcoming week. And if you don't know her and Gege, then you gonna find out.
They
Just
gang
trust me.
bang together.
They be rotating. They be rotating on
After next chapter, you think this cliffhanger was bad? Oh no, baby.
He just didn't want to hit us. He didn't want to hit us with the break yet because he knew it was going to be crazy. Yeah, he knew. You know what I'm saying?
It's gonna be even crazier next week. The cliffhanger next week, and then you're gonna have a break. Watch, mark my words. This thing is gonna be
Okay. I want to talk about their inner monologues because they both have inner monologues in this chapter. This whole Endeavor has is about the kids and the past and the future. And from Endeavor's monologue, you can deduce that he thinks or he is determined to kill AFO and then live on to continue hating himself and continue to deal with Toya if there is still something to deal with, which he doesn't know yet, but we assume there still is something. AFO's inner monologue is this: heroes are scary when wounded, villains are also scary when wounded. That is it seems to be his inner monologue because it follows right after his inner monologue about how Endeavor made him remember All Might. So it seems to be something he is thinking. But and this wounded heroes and wounded villains reminds you of this idea of the dying animal lashing out. So it seems that AFO's understanding of this fight is that both of them are going to die here, and they're both are going to have their strongest showing, like the dying animal lashing out in this fight. So it's in a way it's very similar to Toya and Shoto in that we really know how what they want. Like we know that Toya wants to have this double suicide kind of ending, which is similar to kind of what AFO is referring to here. He doesn't really want the double suicide AFO, but AFO seems to think that this is going to end in a double suicide, or both of them dying and before dying being super strong and showing what they can do. Toya thought that how he wanted the fight to end is killing himself and killing Endeavor or killing Shoto. And Shoto, we also knew that his goal was to again survive and keep on watching Toya with Udon. And I really like how they're introducing these goals for these two characters, which are very different. And we put both of them because Toya's fight hasn't completely concluded yet. We don't really know which of the heroes and which of the villains are going to get what they want. But the thing is, I've been looking at this and I thought that there's so much hinting at both of them dying, but all this hinting comes from AFO's inner monologue. If you look at Enji's inner monologue, there's not really that much hinting about both of them dying. It's kind of like we don't know what's happening. It's going to happen. We just know what they think is going to happen.
So, well, yeah, and I think they're both, I think to a certain degree, it's more like a reflection of their convictions. Like Endeavor's conviction is to go forward, do this, whatever, whereas All for One's plan. Penance. Yeah, and whereas All for One's plan and conviction never involved this body anyway. And he's like, I'm willing to sacrifice this piece if necessary. But at the same time, he's like, but if I don't have to sacrifice it and this thing works, then let's do it. So he's doing a quirk that's a high skill quirk that he has no practice with, but I'm kind of expecting him to be able to pull the stops on and be able to function in this form for a while. And
a question, because the thing about that quirk, the quirk of Eri, is that the quirk is a quirk that you have to step a lot. You have to have a certain charge of it. You know what I mean? You have to have a certain amount of kind of energy.
That is the one thing that's a little off here.
That's the thing about. That's why I'm questioning myself. How did they engineer that? Because the whole concept of that quirk is that Eddie has to have has an external horn on her head that's like a charge a battery that she can use to use her quirk.
So one of the things that could be implied because of the way they got it is that the bullets themselves are more or less permanently set to a certain type of rewind, which if that's the case, when replicating it, they could set like they could almost tamper with the functions. If you remember when he was talking about his lie detection quirk and how he has stolen it, and it's now a quirk that's been mixed with other ones and it's more complicated. It's possible that the way they copied over Ares' quirk isn't one-to-one with how we understand Ares' quirk to be.
True.
And or moreover, like when they copied over the data, it came because just like search came with a stockpile, it could also be that the bullets that they copied came with a stockpile, and depending on if you think about it, those bullets would have been made with a fully horned Ares who was the one that Deku put on his back and was kicking and doing all this other stuff. So from that perspective, that rewind was pretty intense. You could argue that like it rewound all of Overhaul, that big body, all that stuff, and was still going. So from that angle, it's arguable that the bullets have like peak Ares stockpile. And so he's basically done like, it would have done more than that. And Deku, if he wasn't destroying his bones so thoroughly, would have been going back like a year or two potentially. And that's why you get All for One with this amount of stuff, because there was that much built up. And it was the damage that really did save Deku from Ares' quirk.
Yeah, I was also thinking, since we're talking about like the self-sacrificial thing, how it would be cool like if the rewind was constant and he couldn't stop it and it was like killing him slowly. But he's like 100 years old, so that would take like a little while either way. So if that's how they want to play it, I'll be fine with that. I'll be fine with that. But what if like it would just be cool to me because you know how Ares' dad just got erased from existence. Like if that's how All for One ended, just erased, he just vanished.
Yes, I can see that happen.
A fitting end. Kind of deserves it. If anybody deserves to be erased into nothingness, into never existing.
I mean, that's what Shigaraki gonna do. He's gonna take care of that nigga completely.
The other thing I was thinking of that would be nice to see is if, I mean, she's only like 5 or 6, but Quirk Rebellion is a thing for All for One. So what if Ares is actually able to stop him somehow a little bit? You know, her vestige. If he has it, I don't know.
If it was that that would be interesting.
It would be interesting, but it would also be kind of unbelievable.
I would like it, and the reason why is that I view Ares as a singularity baby. And so if
100%.
If all this tampering in the vestige world kind of like reaches her because her quirk is being utilized in such a way, and then her vestige was able to act as a hero, letting her like basically making her the authority on her quirk period, so that rewind could never be used for bad. Like that would be kind of dope. That'd be like the ultimate like endpoint for her like storyline as far as her fear of her power, overcoming, embracing it, and like being able to utilize and be a hero without having to actually be in danger.
Also, it would, and that's kind of also the reason why I'm iffy about it. It would make her. She is not the type of character to fight herself. She doesn't really have that rebellion in her. She's actually very meek for a kid or for like 6, and she's of course affected by the abuse. So it's kind of, I'm iffy because I don't know if it's in her character to rebel like that. But on the other hand, it could be her herself for the first time standing up to being used, because she hasn't done that with Overhaul. She hasn't really stood up against him.
It's something that could work, but we'll see, I guess, if it happens or not.
Apparently, there's a food truck at the park across the street.
Is there a vestige of Aerie in every bullet?
I hope not. I don't think it worked like that though.
Yeah, I don't know if it's. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking about that All for One thing more. I was like, yo, if he's like rewinding through ages, yo, imagine if he has like a new moveset of quirks and like it just goes crazy. Like he's on fire. Like he's like, oh, I haven't used this quirk in years. Oh, I gave this one to a Nomu. Like the All for One just really gets entertaining.
We really are setting up for that potential, especially he'd have his mind, which means some of those older quirks that he gave away back then, he still might be able to use better now. We also opened the door to one, getting kind of to see what all these other previous One for All users were going up against, because All for One in the story has yet to entirely look like the man that he was. Like, All for One hasn't looked like the dude that had the sixth user running around Shimura crying with his arm missing, holding up some strands of hair.
To me, he looked like that one time, and that was in Camino when he first came. That's the only time he gave that energy.
Like, so we need to kind of let him get that clinic. I want All for One to go ahead and have a chapter like Endeavor had here. Which also, I'm sorry for everybody who gets in the way of that. But
also, when Seth said that maybe this is gonna be like a rewind wave, I think it would be funny if his rewind doesn't stop at himself, but he kind of also accidentally reverts Angie back to Kid.
Oh my god, that'd be terrible.
Because they are touching, so it's
not really. Fiction has already been written.
It's not really saying, it's not really impossible that when he rewinds himself, he accidentally also rewinds everything he touches to some point.
Listen, give Endeavor his arm back. If that's all he gets, if he touches him for that quick second and he gets it back and they box it out for a little bit,
ain't gonna be no boxing like that. If
it's prime, listen, give him anything he need right now.
If we're gonna go that route, then you might as well rewind him to the start of the fight so he's fresh.
No, I mean, actually, young Endeavor, because he already has the hair down. He already looks a lot like young Endeavor.
Oh, so you want him to get rewound to like 20-year-old Endeavor?
Kind of.
Like when he hit number 2 hero and just got stuck there.
Yeah.
He wasn't in his prime yet. He in his prime now.
Yes, that would be.
Well, that's the thing though. It is possible that his body, think about what I just said about All for One.
I mean, 20-year-old body is fitter.
His 20-year-old body could be more fit and durable.
47-year-old.
And he would still be able to use all the techniques from his mind, because he would have his mind and experience. So he'd basically be able to use like vanishing jet burns and all kinds of stuff, possibly even better.
That would be crazy, but Endeavor works
that's
out.
What I mean.
Endeavor works out a lot. So I'd be like, he definitely got stronger physically too since then. Like to handle what he's capable of doing now.
It's kind of true, but it's like in the real world. In the real world, a 47-year-old is not as fit as a 30 or a 25-year-old. In anime world, we never know.
Yeah, so there's just a chance.
Anime world, you know what happens when old niggas pull up.
Yeah, but also old niggas. Oh, sorry, old people.
Here we go.
Yeah,
it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You understand? You're in a bad environment.
I am sorry.
You're in a bad environment.
Yeah, listen. That's not funny because that just happened. It's funny for a whole different reason. Yes, we all know that. You're in a bad environment.
Stop joining these streams.
It's too late, man.
All right.
You're part of us.
We're gonna wrap that up. We're gonna wrap this up.
No. Let's not make. Let's just talk.
What time is it?
I think we've been going for like 2 hours.
What minute is this in the stream?
Alves, chill out.
So y'all want to talk about real quick? Just get it out there. Okay, let's just make this real brief, real quick. Oh, y'all know that Yoichi's talking about his brother when he says, "I have a bad feeling." And Deko's talking about something different. So, is it allies or is it villains coming from Deko? Pick your side.
I want it to be villains.
Thing is, you can say niggas if you want. The allies, some random niggas.
No, I think it's if it is the American Jets, then my real question is if Deku asks them to bring him to Shigaraki, or
I get a ride.
Deku's
like, I get a ride, bro. Like, it's kind of crazy right now. I was flying over the ocean.
Like, I do think if they are the Jets, then they are only here to give Deku a ride. Why else would they be here?
Perfect.
All right.
So everybody picking their sides. They got villains or heroes.
2 hours, 26 minutes roughly.
Okay. Mello, I hope you're still here. For some reason, it's under the assumption that I got. Some reason it's under the assumption that I got a problem with this nigga Deku because I want him to take the L from Shigaraki. I don't know why that is.
Wait, you say somebody want Deku to take an L to Shigaraki? He can't afford that right now.
We have to understand the situation, guys. We have to understand the situation.
Shigaraki, because
if Deku gets an L right now, I don't know what's happening to the world.
No. I said Shigaraki.
I would love to see him getting an L. I can lie to that because I just want to know what's gonna happen next if he gets an L. But still, if he doesn't get LA,
I talk about Deku getting the L to Shiggy. That's what I don't know why.
No,
Mello and Thomas and the guy. I really hate Deku for some reason. Although I give Deku his praise all the time. I just don't be gassed, power overboard in the power scaling when it be coming up into that bitch on Deku. That's the only difference.
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna keep it a buck right now. If it was Deku fighting off one like that, and he got that mad, and it was Berserk Deku from the war with all them black whip tendrils. Ridiculous.
Okay, but let me get my praise. I told him I'll give Deku his praise. So impressed by Deku flying out in the street right now. That shit is fucking insane. The boy raw and the drip is confirmed now that it's black and yellow. It's black fit with the yellow stripes. That shit
with the red mid gauntlets.
With the red mid gauntlets.
Black and yellow.
And the yellow cape. Yellow cape. That shit gas as fuck. All right, there you go, Melon Thomas. I gave that boy his praise.
I think the glove should have been black this time around though. But you can't leave that green though at the same time, so I don't blame him for leaving that.
Yeah.
Also, quick random question. Based on that future panel, do you think we actually gonna get to see these kids beat?
I was gonna say,
do you think the people we see in this panel are safe?
I was gonna say earlier in the stream that Shoto got the end of series dad cut, low key, and Bakugo got braids. Kirishima, if that's Kirishima to the right of Bakugo, it looked like he got a sick ass mask on. And then you got Momo, Ida, Deku. That's definitely Suyu.
His
and
mask
then
was partially inspired by Rappa.
Wait.
Hey,
you think that it is a panel of the future? You think this is a panel of the future?
If these are the confirmed survivors, then a lot of niggas are about to die.
Oh god!
if that's what we're taking this.
Yeah, maybe they're all the niggas that would die. Maybe they're all the niggas that would die, man.
Yo, Sarah, yo, Jiro Tokoyami not here, bro.
Yo. But not Ponzu. It is the future because Deku has a long cape, like an entirely long. It's not a ragged piece of cloth like Torino's.
It's like, oh, I just looked at it. It's actually like Gran Torino's cape fixed.
It's literally a fully fixed cape.
Wait.
If Deku do that at the end, he a goat for real. He really a goat if he fixed that cape.
Because Bakugo's got the ponytails. You got the Rappa mask on. It looks like a Rappa mask on Kirishima.
Bakugo and Endeavor had a conversation, and Bakugo was like, "Yo, I kind of like braids, bro, but I don't know, because this is Endeavor's mind." So I'm thinking, yo, why are you thinking about them looking like that?
I can tell you one thing.
Well, you gotta think they work together for 4 months.
Drip.
Deku, Bakugo, and Shoto look the most clear, and then you got Uraraka, who she kind of pressed him at UA, and maybe he's seen the rest of them, but
I really don't like Todoroki's style is too simple.
He had a bad cut.
But you got to remember, when Shoto's using his full power, his hair is going to be standing on end, so it doesn't matter.
This is the thing right here. These aren't the real time skip designs, the real future designs. You want to really reveal that truly. This was just imagery, so to speak.
Nah, I hope it is.
I like
Bakugo's design.
Yeah, for sure. Bakugo's is neat.
Bakugo looks sick.
Kirishima's too. I really like
the fuses, like somebody pointed out, like the fuses.
Like Bakugo's in
Bakugo and Deku got a really good design here.
Kirishima's for sure. I like Deku with a shorter cape. That's just my preference. I don't think I like that's just a preference though.
I don't like. I like Deku with the scarf. I like Deku with the scarf style. I love.
Yeah, Momo's hasn't changed basically at all. If you want to say the back,
Momo was an adult hero first.
If you want to say, oh, she got a back open now, that nigga, no.
No, she was an adult
that,
hero first. That's why her costume didn't change.
Also, Deku was keeping the bunny mask, y'all.
Yeah, for sure. It's part of the identity. He's the Benny man.
I need him to throw that on when he's beating ass. Like specifically for when he's beating ass, he puts that mask on. Like I'm not. It's not. No,
I'm
no.
very bad.
All right, so it's about that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Part of the reason why though is I need to make sure I know where to go back and click. Now, so let's go around the horn. Final thoughts. Starting with Bonzu.
So, hello everybody. I hope that you're happy to hear me back. So, yeah, great chapter. We don't know what the future can offer us right now. We are in a pinch. We are in a turning point, like I love to call it. So, yeah, we're gonna see next chapter what's gonna happen, and yeah. What's straight out of there? We get the symbolism with heroes and villains, with the heroes being the scariest and villains being the scariest as they're both wounded. We keep playing in the same like that heroes and villains are just two sides of the same coin. So I really love that aspect. Arikoshi's just he's just performing right now, and we just love to see it. So I love you all. I love you all. Like the video. Let's get 70 like, and see you soon, guys. Mwah, ciao.
All right, let's go with Tarnish.
Yeah, the final thoughts this week is actually going to be real brief because I'm scared. I'm truthfully scared for what happens next. I never thought I'd ever see Prime All For One again. Besides it being a flashback. Like, just him having ears and eyes, I just never thought I'd see again. And Endeavor really shocked me too with the way he went crazy this chapter. Like, it's like you giving me him at his peak, and now he's possibly about to go. And I wanted him to go, but now it's really punching because you know what I'm saying. It's about that time. But I hate All For One.
Morphing time.
I hate All For One. He won up me again. He's coming back better than ever. Let's see what he does next. Hopefully Shigaraki box him out because he can't be out here thinking he the Demon Lord, running into everybody's stuff, you know, picking on things he had no part in, thinking that he's that nigga. We need somebody to come put him in his place because he really a cockroach at this point. Like, niggas done tried to kill him so many times. I'm tired of him, but his moments are hype. I hate him, but his moments are unfortunately very hype and analytical. That's all I got. Great chapter. Yeah, listen, and there's gonna be a crazy cliffhanger next week. That's another reason why I'm scared.
So Albus says Sky for Dad. All right, Seth. Wait, is Seth still here?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
All right, final thoughts.
Well, first off, thanks everyone for having me on again. It's been really fun to listen in and to talk. Anyways, so let's see, my final thoughts. I'm just really impressed with how Horikoshi is able to weave his characters' narratives together. I think it's all coming together really, really beautifully. Like going into this, I had no idea how the All For One fight would go, just on a mechanical and narrative level, and Horikoshi has really just hit it out of the park. Let's see, I'm going to let my bias come through a bit and talk about Tokoyami for a second. I really like what I saw from him. I didn't get to gush about it last week, but I'm excited that he was able to pull something off. And the fact that he's still around while AFO is about to go into what could be his final rampage, I'm nervous he wasn't in the Endeavor future glimpse thing that he saw. Like, neither him or Jiro. I think that was really smart of Horikoshi to keep the tension on the fight. It's like, yeah, no, they're still here. So I can only wonder what'll happen, but yeah, no, this has just been quite the wild ride. As for next time, I think we'll probably, I don't want us to go to another fight. I think it would be really bad to just go to Uraraka's fight now that we've hit that point. You know how like Dabi is still around, but we're waiting to get back to Dabi, whatever he's doing. And I feel like Horikoshi might do that thing where it's like, okay, AFO is about to pull something, but now we're going to jump over to the next fight. I don't want that to happen, but I did kind of see it because we transitioned to Deku randomly at the very end, and I'm thinking maybe Horikoshi is signaling that kind of transition. I don't know. But yeah, that's about it for my thoughts. I'm really excited for next time. I'm pretty sure those are the fighter jets or possibly reinforcements from America, but I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Say yes.
Yes. A rare chapter where I would say a 10 out of 10. And it's not just Endeavor this time. First, I really loved the fight, obviously. I also really loved Endeavor's interior monologue and all that. But even apart from Endeavor, I think I haven't been that interested in AFO ever before. This was like normally when there's a good Endeavor chapter, I'm just talking about him. And this time I've been talking about AFO a whole lot because I'm just very interested and afraid. So great chapter. Stop laughing, man.
I was reading the chat.
I was muted.
She said stop laughing, nigga.
Oh, Neil in the chat.
Oh, hey, look
Did
at
no
that.
one give her a pass?
That is actually a really good. This is like one of the best chapters to catch up on, like the past 5-6 chapters, I'd say.
I don't know when we gonna touch Yarner to catch back up, but we gonna get him.
Man.
I told him if Mirio comes back, listen, I just want to say this too. Listen, we in the wrap up. Listen, he's not only reminding us of Eri, he's reminding us of Mirio too.
I'm just gonna say Giorno should catch up right now. This is the perfect time for Giorno to catch up. And Archbishop East, take us home.
All right, before I go all the way off, a couple y'all might want to turn down your volume real quick because I'm about to geek out. But real quick, y'all got until I finish this sentence, y'all got time to turn your volume down. Jump. I think Giorno should catch up next week because then it's gonna have all the answers for how often one did this shit. Then you ain't gotta be like, here we go again, another week. You know, I gotta do this, that, and the other. All right, I gave y'all enough time because I'm about to go gas out. Oh my God, yo, I cannot believe that this nigga Enji Todoroki was really doing what he was doing, bro. Put this nigga on the map. He put this nigga in a pack, bro. He was smoking, son, bro. I can't believe it, bro. Honestly, bro, it's in these moments that you really feel MHA is MHA. Stop. Shut up. Sorry, man. MHA is truly MHA. It's like, bro, it's just the way these characters are written that they feel they've come so far and they speak volumes about their journeys, their feelings, their emotions. But it's always the thing that tweaks MHA and makes it just a little bit different than everything else. And we had this conversation earlier. It's that when they acknowledge that the villains are no different than the motherfucking heroes. And when he said, listen, you're not the only niggas that can put your sacrificial plays shit into play right here. And he flipped that bitch with an Uno verse. I swear to God, bro. Bro, it's like Sharna said, bro, if you was talking to me 3 weeks ago, we'd have been fucking laughing at you, bro. Like, this shit was a fucking joke. But it wrapped back around. This is one of the craziest plot twists I've ever seen. And the way, and it just started. We don't know where it ends, what's the extent to it, and we're already fucking freaking out. And this really chapter of the year. So far, I don't know how, but next chapter just might even fucking bull that shit out the water, bro. It's fucking insanity to me, bro. I don't know. I just don't know. The art keeps evolving, and we always question how it will look when we got to this part of the series. But now it's just like each time I read this shit, it takes my breath away, bro. That this nigga can really draw this shit. He's not human in any shape, way, or form whatsoever. You could never convince me of that either. We got a new editor, and if this is his so far, this is what he's bringing to the table. It's just going to be Imamura's and Yoritomi Supremacy as editors for all the time. Because the way we rocking here, nigga, this is a different story altogether. We ain't finna be reading MHA when All For One come back. It's gonna be a whole different series in a couple minutes. It's a couple seconds,
NBA.
Oh God, son, tell these niggas again. Nah, man. Honestly, top to bottom, this is one of the craziest things I've ever read in this series, and it's absolutely amazing. We really finna see something that we never thought we'd see. So to point out this real quick too, I think it was Jason Thomas. You had said this. Each battlefield, the heroes, the villains, even though they lost, air quote, they've always had something more to come. If Dabi had his prominence burn charging, although he lost, then you got All For One died, but he hit his aerial verse. What does that hold for the other battlefields, especially the ones with Kurogiri and Makia? Because ain't no losing that one. Then you just come back with double A's. Like they coming back and they finna take over their battlefield. Because the heroes
If Prime All for One is coming back, Horikoshi, bring Makia back.
bro, it's the heroes
Do
are
it.
the heroes are what 2 for 6 battlefields right now. The Dabi one's cooking, and they got an offer, but all for one, but that just bounced back, and that's gonna blow everything up in their face on the Elden Ring shit.
They possibly 1 for 6. Possibly.
Yeah. So at that point, hey man, Toga versus Ochiko and Suyu, that shit just got the tiers to that shit just got even more. Man, think about it, bro. You put your peak and you at a war arc, you crescendo to the crazier events in the latter half. And this is what happens in the first 2.
Yeah, Sadman's Parade is coming out now. There's no doubt in my mind. This just reaffirmed a lot of stuff for me, honestly. What happened this chapter. Like my mindset going into this arc definitely is shifted now.
Oh God. And Spinner definitely not falling. If these 2 niggas fell, Dabi and Off One, and then they both come back with that, Spinner definitely not falling. He definitely not falling for his one. Plus, we need Kurogiri to help us get to more places in that shit too. So, but honestly, man, this shit is peak insanity, bro. I'll tell you, bro, I'm just astonished. Be prepared for next week in the cliffhanger because after that, Horikoshi going on break. I bet you money on that one, bro. Because Gege going on this week. Horikoshi gonna do this shit the week after next. So prepare for the cliffhanger to really bust your balls next week. I promise you. This shit here, the can of worms we just opened, man, I promise you, bro. We really ain't seen nothing yet. And that's the craziest part of all this shit. I'm so geeked to see what's coming for the future. But once again, man, we appreciate everybody coming in. Like, we appreciate everybody coming in, showing up, showing love, all support, all the views. We got the 71 likes. Shout out to y'all niggas for that shit. About time. I really feel like y'all only act right because I'm positive was in here. That's why I like the stream. Appreciate y'all coming for again. You know what I'm saying? I was saying, Saya showing her true colors once again. It's just everything, comes together in the stream, and it's just so beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I don't know, man. It's a time to be alive, bro. It's a time to be alive. This shit is eating. But you already know what it is, what we do. Hell, Hori, every day of the week. That's my goal. And you already know what team we banging with, boy. It's under East. Feed it under East, baby. What it do? I appreciate y'all coming.
All right, y'all already know I appreciate everybody that came through. Special shout out to Steph. He's coming through as a special guest. We always extend that love to Bishop Sayez, to Bishop Tarnish, to Bishop Ponzu.
Let's go. We love y'all, guys.
And just once again, thank you y'all for coming through. I will be doing a review. I'm going to try to make sure I actually do a bunch of edits for this one because this chapter is filled with callbacks. So I want to make sure everything gets explained well.
Thank
Drop
you,
them hail Hories as we on our way out the door.
Hell,
you know how